welcome back to another Nextlander podcast, Spring Forward with Nextlander. That's what we say around these parts. Alex Navarro, happy Easter. Alex.
I'm not nearly as springing as I used to be.
No?
Springing is greatly reduced from what I used to be able to do.
A little more cracking.
There's like a long wind-up. There's like, you got to kind of do a lot of stretching and limbering up. There's a lot of grunting sounds that take place in the lead-up, so it's not great.
Brad.
Hi. Hello.
Do you enjoy the return of spring?
When it gets here, sure.
Yeah. Does San Francisco have a spring?
Yeah.
In as much as they have any season.
There are cherry blossoms somewhere around here.
Great.
And stuff. Occasionally the sun makes an appearance. I don't know.
Delicious.
Yes. I woke up at what once was 4 a.m. this morning, so
Okay.
I'm not quite sure. And now it's 5.
And now it's,
Yes.
The new 5. The new 5 is the old 4.
Mm-hmm.
My kids I was all out of sorts because they had off on Monday, and then they had delayed opening on Tuesday for like professional development. And today, Wednesday, when we're recording this, my daughter usually has early period, and then my son doesn't. But I was up and I was like ready to go. I'm like, let's go. And my son's, I don't have to leave for like another half hour. What are you doing? I was like, I got my jacket on. Let's go. So like, I wound up, usually I walk my son, and so I walked my daughter and then came back and then walked with my son, he just walks with his friends. But I and my wife, since we walk the dog in the morning too, just like walk, I don't know, like 20 feet behind him and his friends and just get the walk in because it's a good like 20-minute walk to the school. So
yeah, that's not menacing in any particular way for a child of that age to have their parents walking 20 feet behind them at all times.
You've reached the can no longer be seen with parental figures.
No, we walk with him until we join up with his friend. His friend is super cool. Like we walk, and then when he meets up with his friend, they just walk ahead of us. But we can absolutely just turn around and go home. But we continue the walk because I enjoy.
Because you want to know what the fuck he's up to.
I want to see him smoking dope behind a stop sign. That's what I'm on the
hell
eye
yeah
for. Like I think routines are good. I like a routine, and anything that gets me to just continue to walk is probably a good thing. Even if it's 20 minutes of leisurely strolling.
I'm just watching some children walk towards school.
No, watching some children look at their phones as they walk to school. It's a menace. I feel bad for the crossing guards. They're like, hey, look up.
Hey, eyes up.
Eyes up here. So yeah.
How often would you say that you just go an entire day doing nothing but sitting? Like, I mean, not doing nothing, but what I mean is either sitting or walking. I mean, how often do you have a day where at the end of the day and you're about to go to bed, you're like, you know what? I didn't actually like get up and move at all today.
Very little for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say, I'm trying to be as generous as I can to myself about this. I'd say there are at least a couple of days a week probably where I have that.
All right. Like minus just, standard moving around your house to live type stuff. But
that's
like actually like targeted exercise, walk or something. It's like, it's a pretty constant struggle when you work at home with doing a desk job.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to like tell yourself to get up and move.
Mm-hmm.
So like, with the kids and walking them to school and all that stuff, it's usually probably daily. And then, I at least get my little walk to the garage. Does that count?
Your little jaunt.
It takes about 30 seconds. So I have to open a door to the outside, traverse outdoors, which means I have to put shoes on. I guess I don't have to, but I do.
I think optimally you should.
Yeah. I would be flip-flopping that.
No,
absolutely.
It's full-on shoes. And then...
Wait, are you shoes on in the house family?
No. Look, if I just
it's
came
not a
in...
hard rule.
If I came in, I'm going to make a quick lunch, and I just came in through the kitchen, like I might just keep my shoes on, or if I'm just coming in to use the restroom, I might not kick them off and then put them back on. Depends, but mostly it is kick the shoes off and then socks or whatever you got going on. And like the kids that come over the house are mostly shoes off, so they'll mostly do shoes off. We do not enforce a shoes off policy, but is generally, I feel like you kind of vibe with the host, right? Like if the host has shoes off, you're kind of like, I'm gonna kick my shoes off here. Would you default to shoes off in a new house?
My new house?
No.
Or?
Like if you visited. Okay.
Oh, well, like a new to me.
Yeah.
It's whatever they want.
Would you ask?
I don't know. I don't know if we're quite societally at the point of like asking.
Yeah, shoes on.
I generally feel like it's going to be pretty obvious in the entryway for most people.
That's
who
exactly
really
what I
want
try
that.
to clock. Yeah,
I feel like in every house I've been to where there is a no shoes policy, that has been stated to me fairly upfront.
Yeah, like or like in a way that's like shoes can go right over here.
Yeah, just put them over there. Yeah, I don't ever argue with it.
Yeah.
Again, I'm in a household where one half of the people who live here are Asian, so I have just accepted the idea of no shoes in the house.
Yeah. I'll usually probably default to like a make the movement of taking the shoes off, and if somebody's like, nah, it's okay, then I'll be like, okay. Actually, if I clock also a house that looks like that carpet ain't got no shoes on it, I will just go to kick the shoes off. At this point, I've gotten rid of most of my socks that have holes in them, so I'm pretty confident in just kicking them shoes off. So, goodbye, holy socks.
Keep your feet clean.
Keep feet clean. Socks mended. Clear eyes, can't lose.
Ooh, the hearing in my left ear just went out.
Cool.
Welcome to Podcasting with 40-year-olds. You're listening to it live.
Wow.
Just
I've
dropped.
been having this today. I've a couple of different times. My left ear has just started ringing. That's probably not great.
Is it a physical thing or like I've talked to you at least about it before. It was like the jaw thing kicking in, or
No, that wasn't the jaw. That was just my ear deciding it didn't want to hear anything anymore. Okay, and now it's back.
Great. Fantastic. Yeah. Rebooted Alex Navarro. Audio devices. Couldn't find your left audio device, but found it.
Yeah, if anyone knows a good ear, nose, and throat person in northern New Jersey, let me know. I really need to get my hearing checked.
There you go. Make use of that very expensive health insurance.
Yep.
Next, let us tell you how you can save 10% on your car insurance.
That's right. I've got one great trick that doctors don't want you to know about for joint pain. Just don't use your joints. I got one great trick. It's don't use your joints.
I just bought a 30-pound vest in which to walk.
Whoa.
Are you trying to become Goku?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Are you training?
Excuse me. I'm not training. I'm rucking.
Oh, no. Wow.
Are you a ruckus?
It's a weighted vest to make it a little more body resistance when you walk.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
I like it. Do you feel like super light when you take it off?
Sure.
Okay.
We had a 12-pounder, and I started with that, and I was like, oh, I can tell a difference. Like going up hills, like I'm a little more winded.
Mm-hmm.
The 30-pounder is a different thing altogether. I just got it yesterday.
That does not feel like something you should try an uphill right away with.
Like that one is going to take a little working up to.
What's weighting it down?
I don't know. Like beads, I think. It feels kind of like sandy in there, sort of beady.
Okay.
The ankle and wrist weights I used to use to try and build up my drum strength, where I think they just had like you said, beads, sand, something like that, and they felt very sandbaggy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it mostly in the back, or is it like distributed around?
A little bit on the shoulders, but mostly kind of down the back and chests.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause like if somebody came up and tried to slug you in the back of the stomach, I think you basically have a sand vest on to absorb.
Kind of. Well, it's more like straps. It kind of looks like overall straps. It's like the weight is all concentrated there.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. That's modern living, baby.
Yeah,
modern living. I'm trying to lose 30 pounds. You're putting 30 pounds on. Jeez, whatever.
And I'm just right.
And he's just right. Not too hot, not too cold.
Never getting up.
Speaking of just right, the WWE is just no. Speaking of just perfect,
no room for improvement.
No comment.
No, Siri Bob. Not giving you any of that.
Well, what can you give me about at least WWE 2K25, WWE's latest video game?
I can tell you that I continue to feel bad about liking wrestling games. Not because this year's game is uniquely bad or anything. In fact, anything seems more or less like last year's in a lot of key ways. But just my investment in WWE as a company and a product has never been lower. And I mean, it was already pretty low. I have not watched their television program in quite some time, any of it. I think the last time I was watching it with any regularity, Kofi Kingston won the world championship, and that was some time ago. So But nonetheless, they are kind of the only major game in town. I mean, that AEW game did come out a couple of years ago, but they have not followed up on it yet, and that game was not great. So if you like this genre of video game, unfortunately, this is kind of the only game in town at the moment.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at the AEW Fight Forever Steam reviews are in the very negative territory at this point.
Ooh.
Yeah, they charge too much for DLC on top of the game itself not being that great, so I can see that people on Steam definitely would have turned on them at a certain point, but that game is not great.
And is the AEW brand fairly strong?
Reasonably. I mean, they've definitely had some low points in recent years, but also they have also had some very high points. They just did a pay-per-view this past weekend that had, I would call, an all-timer of a women's match.
Okay.
Literally one of the bloodiest women's matches I have maybe ever seen in my life.
And when you
But
say
it was
that,
very entertaining.
Theatrically bloody, right?
No.
Oh, boy.
You know that the blood in wrestling is usually real, right?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it depends on what we're going for, like bladed, like Japanese wrestling, sure, and like.
Well,
stuff.
no, Americans do that. I mean, look, the blade job is not a Japanese invention. That is a thing that you will find worldwide.
Was there any blading going on in this match?
I'm going to say probably, because the amount of blood that was on both those women by the end of it probably did not come naturally.
Okay, well, you might be out of my comfort zone there in what constitutes an all-timer.
let me try and explain. I'm not going to explain to you this entire feud because that would take forever. I will just say one of the main characters, Timeless Toni Storm, her entire gimmick is basically that she's like an old Hollywood starlet, but for wrestling, to the point where sometimes her promos will be in black and white.
Okay.
And her whole gimmick is that, like, even though she is clearly, let's just say, in her 30s, she talks about having affairs with wrestlers from the 70s like it was just a normal thing.
Okay.
And that she basically does not age.
That's a pretty good bit.
She's really good at it, to be fair. Like, she sells that gimmick better than most people sell any gimmick. And Mariah May, the woman she was feuding with, like, they've had an ongoing blood feud for quite some time. And the whole thing was done in a very cinematic way. Like, when AEW gets something right, it's some of the best shit going. It's just that there's also a lot of cruft around the edges of that company.
Who's the guy? I think it's I think you could correct me, Alex. You would know this right as soon as I say it. But who's the guy who was like famous for all the scars on his forehead for the?
I was
Which
just about
one?
to ask about that when we were talking about blading.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of Abdullah the Butcher?
Yes, that must be who it is. Yes, it's just like a forehead that is crisscrossed with scars.
There are a handful of dudes whose foreheads look like, let's just say, a topographical map of Utah, with all the fucking weird jagged things coming out of it. There's a guy who goes by the name Wing Kanamura who also has one of those foreheads.
Okay.
I can't remember if Viano 3 or 4 has one of the worst foreheads I've ever seen, but they certainly do.
I think it was Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, he was definitely at the forefront of making people bleed for no reason.
Yeah, he's the one, I think. What about Mick Foley, or was that more, did his ears get it more than anything?
His ears got it. He definitely has some forehead scarring. He has more hair than a lot of those other people I just mentioned, so you don't see, I think he's a little more top of the dome versus like full-on forehead. New Jack is another one. Yeah, anyway.
Without getting, like, look, I don't like body horror stuff or blood being poured out as much as anybody really. Some people do, I don't know, I don't. But it's the idea that somebody hits you and you're cutting yourself to make the blood cut. Okay, so you're making it. You're trying to sell it by cutting yourself to make the blood come out. Do you think that's what's happening with these? The match you just mentioned on AEW? Yes. Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. And the reason you do it where you do it is because it mixes with sweat and makes it look a lot more profuse than it actually normally would be. And like, every once in a while, they hit a place where it maybe comes out more than they would intend.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to really want to.
No, I'm not getting into the mechanics of this. I'm just saying that, like, sometimes it goes wrong. If you do it right, it's mostly just sweat on your face that is mixed with some blood.
Well, also, like, foreheads and stuff bleed a lot, right? Like, that's just a...
Yes.
Anyway, this WWE game... Yeah.
It's got blood.
Yeah. That's it.
They let you do blood in that game.
Okay. Are they making... Do you have to bleed? Is it? Are they asking you to provide the blood?
Yes, blood will bleed. No, it's a toggle like a lot of other games. It's like, hey, how much blood do you want? And you just turn it on or off. WWE games are not as like into the super hardcore match stuff, though I've heard that they are talking about adding some more of those things. One thing they did add this year intergender matches, which they have been steadfast in not allowing for a very, very long time, specifically because intergender stuff generally is not allowed in WWE. They will sometimes let you do mixed tag matches, but the rules there are if you tag the woman in, then the other woman has to come in.
So this is more in the game than in the franchise. It's in the WWE.
I have a feeling now that, let's just say, certain family members of the McMahon family are no longer involved in the day-to-day, they might start mixing up a little bit more of the intergender stuff, because on the indies, intergender matches have been happening regularly for a long time. Like, women are allowed to wrestle men in a lot of indie leagues, and sometimes they just hold a world title. Like, it isn't necessarily a men's or a women's title. They will just hold, like an all-encompassing title.
Okay.
Do you follow any indie leagues?
None like super closely. Like, I'm vaguely aware of like what some of the bigger ones are doing, but that's kind of it.
So that's new in this 2025
yes,
one?
The intergender thing is absolutely new. I mean, you could do mixed tag matches before in the game, but you could not do the thing where literally like you can have a Royal Rumble and then it's like half men and women. That you can do now.
Anything else of note in here? Like, I don't know, how's the engine? Is it the same one they've used?
It's fine. Like,
okay.
I'd say generally, again, I've not spent a ton of time with the new one yet. I've just been playing here and there, mostly because it makes me feel bad about myself when I do.
Okay.
Again, it's the WWE thing.
Yeah.
I really, really wish, and I believe me, I understand anyone judging me for continuing to engage with these games. It is a personal failing more than anything else, but the main thing with this game is it feels a lot like the last two. The showcase mode, I will say, is maybe a little bit more interesting because it is a decent overview of, I think we talked a little bit about this when we did the Planorama, the Bloodline, which is to say the Roman Reigns faction, the different Samoan/Tongan faction stuff.
I had you go through all those characters. Yes, I remember.
And so there's a little bit of history also with like the sort of progenitors of all that, the older members of the family, which include the Rock's dad, or not the Rock's dad, the Rock's mom's dad, I think, Peter Maivia, and also like the Wild Samoans, who are all part of like that giant Pacific Islander wrestling family that also Roman Reigns and The Rock are part of.
Okay.
So there's an overview that I don't like those showcase modes that much because they really are just an excuse to like give you a little bit of history and you play some of it, but also a lot of it is very rigid and you are sort of like, you have to go through the beats of the different matches that they put out in front of you. And it's like, okay, now make sure you do this move. Now do these 3 moves in a row. It's not really the way I like playing these games, but it's also the only way to unlock certain things in them. So you kind of have to do it. It feels more obligatory. And then there's the island.
What's up with the island?
The island is their new mode, which I would describe as something akin to the crypt in Mortal Kombat or the 2K like run around in a fake basketball town mode in the NBA 2K series.
Interesting.
Well, okay, I feel like that's two different things. Like when you say the crypt, it feels like a nostalgic throwback to old MK stuff. Are you saying or when you say the run around in the basketball stuff, it just feels like a place to spend money to buy stuff for your player?
I mean, let me put it this way. In the same general field of view, on one end, there is a giant Gothic cathedral that is the Undertaker's wrestling church.
Okay.
And then you look on the other side, and there's just a shop where you buy Air Jordans.
So it is all these things.
It is all these things and then some.
Okay.
This is them trying to come up with another way for you to engage with the game that is not just their like, what is their equivalent of like, the Ultimate Team stuff, like here, buy these cards and give us money for more of those cards. I forget what their version of it is called. This is another way for you to potentially want to spend money on their in-game currency so that you can build out your character in this mode. There are matches, there are quests. It seems really dumb. But the main thing is that like they are building out more ways to play these games in the way that 2K does it. And I gotta say, it is maybe among my least favorite ways to go about this, which is to say, I don't think these things are interesting on their own. They really are just systems that are designed to get you to give them more money for microtransactions. Like, and the actual fun attached to these modes, at least from the little bit I've played with this one, not really there for me at all. Like, there is just nothing there that is interesting to me. I don't think, it did not seem like there were a ton of people playing it. But also at the same time, the only people who have this game right now are the people who got the week early version. So maybe that will change. I don't know.
Which is, oh my God, which is $130?
Yes.
Wow.
You do get
I'm
multiple
sorry.
DLC things attached to that as well, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It looks like the $100 edition also lets you play early.
The 131 is the one that gives you like all the bonus content on top of that.
How is the user uploaded stuff? Did you go poke around in there?
Just getting going, from what I can tell.
Okay.
There are some early ones. The one creator wrestler person that I really seized on from the last game has not started uploading again for this one yet, so I'm just waiting. They are the ones that do all the old Japanese wrestlers, which makes me in particular happy. Also, they're really fucking good at it.
Okay.
But they have not started uploading to the new game yet.
I can't wrestle as like Peter Griffin yet or anything like that.
He might be in there. Usually that's actually the first stuff that starts popping up is like the weird pop culture
like
characters.
Bart Simpson, sure.
It's like them and like whoever like the 20 biggest AEW and like old wrestlers that everybody wants. Like Sting is always in there like within 5 minutes of that game launching. So
okay, well, I'll make sure that when I go create my wrestlers or my signs, they all just say like support the Department of Education and see if they get pulled down by.
Sounds like a great way to get banned.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you can still upload signs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can upload all those like custom logos and stuff. And yes, I would have to imagine now if you were to upload anything that was like, let's just say vaguely in support of some cause that is being demolished by the current administration, you will get a visit from the Secret Service at your door. They are monitoring WWE 2K25 at all times.
Keep your McMahons out of my government, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just put them back in the wrestling
This
box.
is what happens when you take them out of wrestling. They start infecting everything else.
Put them back in, okay?
It is literally a containment unit for the McMahon family.
All right. Well, WWE 2K25, it's out there.
It's out there if you want it. Again, you don't have to be like me. You don't have to live this life if you don't want to.
I mean, do you just enjoy the wrestling?
Yes.
Still? You still like just putting hands on controller and doing holds and stuff?
Yeah, when the games are good. And the thing is, like, these games, the last few from this line have been pretty fun. Like, they finally kind of found the fun in what they were trying to do. And I think, mechanically, they work pretty well. I have my quibbles here and there, but they have ironed out some of the really shitty parts of playing those games. But, yeah, I just wish it was branded anything else, because there are performers in WWE I really like, and, some I know personally that I love and support as people. But I just can't watch the product because I find the whole thing so unpleasant. Even when I was willing to compromise myself over, let's just say the shittiness of the commands and all of that, the on-TV product just has not been interesting to me in a very long time. So there's nothing there for me.
Well, Alex, I hate to transition into something maybe not as not as dire maybe as that, but maybe not as hopeful.
It's all dire, man.
Yeah. We finished Lost Records Bloom and Rage, or at least the first part of it. And I have to
went
say,
on a little longer at the end there than I thought it would.
Yeah.
What was in the package? Did they open the package?
No.
Nope.
That what?
Nope.
What?
Nope.
They did clarify a couple of things by the end that we were wondering about, but the package remains unopened.
Hey, I'm not going to spoil anything here in case people want to finish that game, but I will say that game seemed to lose its footing about halfway through for me, and just
halfway through
the first part, Bloom seemed to not really feel confident about what it was trying to deliver in that first segment. Like, more confidence in the storytelling, maybe, like, hey, we want to build this relationship. Less confidence in where they want to leave the player and how we're going to get there efficiently.
I think the last sequence in that game, in that first half, is kind of impossibly lame. I'm really trying not to be overly harsh, but the way they set up, this is not a big spoiler, but the girls in the band or in the game have a band. They start a band at a certain point.
It's called Bloom and Rage.
Bloom and Rage. One of the last sequences is you putting on a DIY punk show in the parking lot of this bar to, let's just say, a handful of middle-aged adults who mostly want you to go away.
Okay, so this is in the present day, not a flashback to their teen
No,
band?
that was during their teen years.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's during their teen years. And the setup for that whole thing, what you have to do to set up that show, the reasons you're even doing it, I think are incredibly poorly explored. And I think that the sort of like raging against whatever you got moment that you have there with them playing in front of those people, most of whom you've never met or encountered anywhere in that game. It just did not hit for me at all.
Yeah, I think by the time we got there, we were a little hands up in the air. Come on, let's just go. Let's get on with it. So a lot of the beats that I think were trying to be extremely emotional just felt a little unearned and slapped together. Not slapped together. That's not the right word. Unearned and with the pedal down. Like we are going to shove a lot into this last 10 minutes here that we could have explored maybe a little more deeply in the 6 hours we took to get here.
It's the pedal down with the car still in park.
Yeah.
Like there just isn't really any momentum there, and it feels like they are screaming at no one that really matters by the end of it, and I'm just kind of like, I mean, there's one character, I kind of get it, but like honestly, I feel like a lot of what they try to set up there just isn't really that well earned.
So I think, Brad, to answer your question, what's in the box, really, probably my biggest problem with it is like, by the time I was done, I kind of didn't care anymore.
Okay,
I'm not sure I do. Yeah,
pretty much the kiss of death.
Yeah, I also have a theory about what it is, and what it is not that exciting.
Yeah,
so
we should watch.
Sure.
You should watch the stream. I think your theory's pretty good.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of by the time we got to the end, I was like, okay, I don't even care really what's in this box anymore. Look, that's not to say I want to play and see what is next in the next part.
No, I think we're pot committed at this point. We have to do it.
Yeah, but yeah, they really kind of lost me. I would say probably about halfway through. I think once they kick off their friendship proper in the game, things just kind of meander and take a little too long without enough character development for me.
Yeah, and it's not the cringy teen dialogue aspect of it. Like, I kind of come into these games expecting at least a certain amount of that, and I don't even think the dialogue in this game is like uniquely bad or anything. It just kind of feels in the same vein of like a lot of this other, like Life is Strange type stuff. But it just, the pacing of it is so off. Like the way they choose to stretch out certain sequences, the way they keep flashing back and forward, and the meandering quality of especially the flash forward sequences, where it just feels like you are literally just trying to set up all these flashbacks and you are taking your sweet fucking time getting there.
Yeah.
It sucks all the energy out of me caring about the mystery. Like, I just don't care anymore.
Also, the flirting with the supernatural is a tease.
Until it's not even
enjoy.
Flirting, really. At a certain point, it just feels like they just give up on flirting and they're just giving you an open mouth kiss with the fucking supernatural.
Are they, though? I don't know. It's never really acknowledged. You're never really quite sure if this is like some kind of group psychosis or like where, like in Life is Strange, we are no doubt rewinding time here. We are
time rewind and max is real.
Yeah, right. And it's not like you have powers or anything. You're just kind of like, stuff is happening and you're like around it without a real acknowledgement by the characters that it's happening in any real way. So I didn't appreciate that much either. Also, in the present time, the characters have some unaddressed, talked about, and again just kind of flirted around amnesia of the time and moment, that they're always just like, I can't believe I don't remember this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe
and that just gets really frustrating because it feels like that just sort of flits in and out when it's convenient for whatever that scene needs.
Getting shades of the Final Fantasy VIII twist here.
Yeah.
If anybody knows what I'm talking about.
I feel like I might need more citation needed.
It is a classic extreme, in this case, like JRPG flavored amnesia plot.
Okay. Different than the Final Fantasy VII static.
That is a different form of amnesia.
Okay.
I mean, I'm also playing a game with amnesia right now that has, Majima, so that goes a long way to making things better. But I will say their amnesia handling, I think, is pretty great because he's just like, yeah, I have amnesia. I don't fucking care. That's literally, that's how they hand wave it away, and then they don't really spend a lot of time worrying about it.
Common video game device, it turns out.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Lost Records, Bloom, and Rage. That's the first part, Bloom. You can check out our stream. The archive is up. I did have fun playing it with you and Abby, Alex.
I think as a communal experience, there's some entertainment to be had. I think if I were playing this on my own, I would have given up a long time ago.
I may have put it down.
I mean, is it a situation where, I mean, this would only work in a group, but like the frustration with the game itself becomes the entertaining part? You know what I mean? Like where everybody kind of like bonds over like throwing things at the screen every time they like plot block you again.
Let's put it this way. I've skipped ahead to the rage part.
Yeah. The other thing I'll just quickly mention here, because we did wrap it up, was the what I didn't really expect to be the first conclusion of the Roottrees Are Dead. There's actually more to that game after you finish doing the main mapping of the tree there, and we finished that up, and I have to say that game is awesome. I really like the Roottrees Are Dead.
Thrilled with how that thing wraps up. I mean, granted, there is the new game plus thing, which I'm trying to think of like a good snappy subtitle for that new game plus. It's like Cousin Scramble, Cousins like Galore,
Still Dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Here
game,
come the cousins.
That game is cool. You open up another timeline. We did not explore that. Maybe we will in the future, but I think the Roottrees Are Dead is a fantastic game, and the whole way through really enjoyed it.
Definitely one of my games of the year so far.
Even coming back to it, it had been a while, which is absolutely not the ideal way to play that thing, because Abby and I had forgotten quite a bit, and I think, Alex, you'd had a break from the last time you had seen it too. So, that's a game you probably want to play in a few close together sittings to kind of keep that knowledge base fresh. But even still, really, really enjoyed it. All right. Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back. We'll probably have more of a what you still been playing section here when we come back from the break. So stick around. This week's show is brought to you by Factor. Alex Navarro and Brad Shoemaker. I spend a lot of time thinking about food, eating food, thinking about when the next food will be ready for me. Sometimes I want that food prepared and ready to go and don't want to spend the time making it. What do I do?
If only there were a service that perhaps could bring you freshly prepared meals in packaging that's almost ready to eat.
If only it showed up right on your doorstep in a box.
Oh, could they be chef-made gourmet meals that would make eating easy?
Okay, Vinny, now let's not get crazy here, all right? That's asking a lot.
Could they be dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes?
Okay, now you are off in some kind of fantasy world, the likes of which I will never know.
Brother, have I got the service for you? Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. And I'll add, it might even be perfect for my lifestyle, and I'm not going to describe it for you, but let's just say it's probably not the active, busy lifestyle you're imagining at home.
So sedentary.
Look, I'm not going to describe it to you.
Okay.
I'm just going to say Factor can appeal to a lot of people. They have 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, and it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. You can pick Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. How can you get in on this? Well, you can eat smart with Factor and get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thanks, Factor. All right, we are back. And what you still been playing? I've still been playing Avowed. I am up to, I think I'm not officially, because what's official? You can travel anytime you want. I finished up that first area. I'm up to poking around in the second area, getting my feet wet, possibly. I haven't gotten what feels like a character that is going to join my party, though I think they have joined my party. They just have not officially joined my party.
Okay.
I've kind of said, you're going to join my party, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm going to join your party.
We'll get there.
but I haven't officially gone out. I probably just have to go to camp or leave the town to go get them. I'm hanging out with the animancers. Yeah, we're doing our animancy. We're getting wild.
But they banned that.
Hold on to your souls. It's animancy time.
Society decided animancy was not cool.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens here as I move forward. I'm still really enjoying that game. I think the curve on it's still pretty good. I'm still trying to figure out the economy and the gear loop in that game.
You mean like weapon wise, you mean?
Weapon wise, I don't do this a lot, but I'm just committing to it in Avowed so far, just from what I think with the hours I have in. I'm upgrading stuff that I just use a lot. I'm spending those materials and I'm just buying anytime I go to a vendor and they have that, was it Adra? Or enhanced Adra. I'm just buying it from the vendor because I have more money than I need.
Some people on the Discord said you should just use that stuff because you can just kind of always go get more and the vendors restock, which is crazy to me.
Okay.
Because the tutorials when they first introduce like named weapons, unique weapons and how to upgrade them.
Yeah.
Really makes it sound like that resource is going to be super limited because they kind of stress like, hey, you'll probably have to break down other unique weapons you don't like as much to get Adra out of them to upgrade the ones you do like. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be like a really tight resource situation. But then everybody in the Discord was like, no, you just buy that stuff whenever. And it's like, oh, that kind of seems like it would just sort of break the upgrade loop, but okay.
It's I don't get a lot of Adra from unique weapons that I haven't broken them down a lot, but it shows you what you'll get, and I feel like it's not showing me Adra.
My hoarding tendencies prevent me from ever breaking down a unique, because what if I decide I want to use it later and then it's gone?
I am starting to get some stuff that's like, I'm never going to use this. This is a unique like spell book or something. I'm a sword and board kind of lady in my game. So are
you not mixing it up?
I mostly just as I start getting my skill points. I'm really diving down into the ranger tree a lot. So a lot of shield stuff, a lot of quick hits and crits. Not a lot of magic. So
do you use the second loadout? Do you have two loadouts?
I got rifle.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I rifle it up.
Okay.
So the thing that's a little bit annoying, at least for the beginning part, and this happens in a lot of RPGs, is I kind of wish, and feels like it's changing now that maybe I have this other character joining my party. Pretty sure this other character is going to join my party. I wish there was a spellcaster in the group, a dedicated spellcaster. I have two other companions now. They're both melee or ranged, not a spellcaster. So I kind of want that role in the party. And it feels like I'm getting that now when I'm in the Animancer part, or that'll be coming. Though the one party member I have has one ability that I will be sad to see go, which is basically pulse the area for treasure. Basically, you do like a Batman kind of a scan, and it goes bing, and then treasure just lights up. And sometimes you hear that sound, you're like, where the hell is this thing? And it's nice to just have a glowing dot there. So if that's the character I trade out for another character, be bummed to see that one go. But still enjoying it. I think the curve on the ability side, pretty cool. I like getting those new abilities. They feel extremely useful. Sometimes it's slowed down a bit. I think I'm like level 10 or 11 now. I did all the side quests that popped up for me. I cleaned up before I left the Paradise area. They were fun. They didn't feel grindy. I think the only thing I wound up just looking up, because I just want to be done here, are the it was like riddles for the pieces of the totem. Did you start that yet? You got like
I've got that quest. I don't think I found like one piece of it or something.
So you can go buy a map or something, and it'll give you little riddles that's like, up on high in the sky, you will see me fly, whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go look up where this is before I leave, because those buffs seem pretty sick on those totem. If you get like all
sick of the buffs,
pretty sick buffs. I think if you get all 6 of those, and then they're all going at the same time, that seems all right.
Maybe I have more than one piece. You're talking about the thing that you can turn into like a display in your camp. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like every time I see that podium in the camp, I get frustrated because like the things I have great perks on them, like you said, but you have to have like one of each type, right? To equip them or something. Like when I go to the podium, it just says, I don't have all the right pieces to like.
Yeah,
equip
you
stuff.
find little parts to it, like little. You have to assemble it.
Oh, is that what it is? You just have to find all the pieces before you can use any of them?
No, I think you can use them as you go.
Oh, maybe I should check that again.
Yeah, I had found 4 out of 6 of them, and then I just scooped up the other 2. I think, and I might have the mechanic wrong. I haven't done much enchanting yet. There's a whole enchanting table. I haven't done much of that. I'm actually getting to the point now where my money is getting lower than I can accumulate it. I buy lockpicks, potions, and Audra as I find it. And because I'm always out of lockpicks, I wish I could craft them. I'm always low on lockpicks because there are a lot of crates you find and chests you find that take multiple lockpicks. Hey, this one takes 3 out of 3, and it's like, man, I got 5 lockpicks. I'm never going to remember to come back here.
Yeah, yes. You can't annotate anything right on the map because that's the one thing that I wish you could mark on the map permanently is all the locked chests I've had to leave behind.
Yeah, unless I like really remember the area, like I'm just not going to come back for it. Though I don't think I found too much grid stuff in chests.
No. Yeah, I think it's just better materials, but I don't think I doubt you're going to, unless it took like 10 lockpicks, I doubt you're going to find like, there's a unique weapon you can't find anywhere else in this chest.
Yeah, the uniques are pretty rare. Like, I did a lot of the side quests, got some cool, I got a decent amount. I maybe have 15 rings and amulets and stuff, but weapons, I probably have like 5 or 6. I've been rolling around in the, obsidian armor that came with the deluxe version of it because that's so far that, and once I put enough upgrade materials into it, I was like, man, you better have a very good perk before I'm gonna go break this down and reinvest in a new armor. Yeah,
I'm using the other set, the green one. Like the stamina perks on that are so good. I had and I think it's like a combination of like more stamina, better move speed, like just all the basic meat and potato stuff you would really want. I've absolutely had the same thought, and I kind of hate that. I kind of like. I don't know why this comes to mind. I think like the first Dead Space I remember just like kind of like it almost ruined the whole aspect of the upgrade loop in that game because the pre-order armor was so good in that game that I never took it off. This is feeling like a similar thing of like there better be something really good out there to replace this.
So I'm starting to get some was it Fine? Is that the next level? I can't remember.
Yeah, Fine is the next one up after Common.
I'm starting to get stuff that's just dropping at that level, which is fine. Because that's where I've got my armor buffed up to. So as long as you're better and you're at that, it's when I was getting stuff that was below where I had buffed it up to that I'm like, I'm good enough here. This other enhancement you have on it's not good enough. I'm still using my fire sword. It's a great sword. I buffed that thing up. The difficulty curve on it, I find to either be like, oh man, I got overrun. I went into this encounter just boneheaded. I just did not do this encounter right. To very easy. I figured out a way to just cheese this encounter, put them all coming through a single door, and they don't come through or root them in a spot. I'm rarely extremely frustrated, or I rarely hit a spot now. And again, I've done a lot of the side quests, so I'm not sure how the level scaling goes in those areas. If they scale to your level or
no, they don't. There's no level scaling.
It does feel like I could just walk through a lot of those areas at this point.
Yeah, that's what I want out of an RPG these days. I think like level scaling is frankly ludicrous to me. Because like, how are you ever going to experience the ramp of all your upgrades if everything just upgrades along with you?
So like I can like one shot a lot of those lizards now.
Yeah, I would absolutely rather have that.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I just enjoy it so far. I think the side quests have been a lot of fun. The momentum in it is strong.
Yes,
to keep going.
Yeah, I would love to finish that game. I mean, it's tough when you start like 3 other new games a week, but I see myself chipping away at that thing for some time to come this year.
Yeah, do you know how many areas there are in it?
I don't. Okay, no. Kind of avoided looking that up.
Okay, yeah, I think people have said there's at least 3, but I don't know if there are 3 or more because it took me a long time, or it felt like it took me a long time to explore that first map.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, it can't be that many different areas because people talk about the campaign or the story, the core path being fairly tight.
All right. Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's Avowed. Still really enjoying it. Still really makes me want to go back and play more Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah.
Did you say Pillars of Eternity?
Pillars of Eternity. I'm the Pillars of Eternity guy.
I could go for one of those.
The only pillow you'll ever need. Yes, it will last you for an eternity.
My waifu pillow of eternity.
Yeah, it makes me curious about jumping back into those games.
Yeah. That's like one of the quiet successes of this game is that I've never played any of those Pillars games, but this has made me more interested in that universe. And like, I'm intrigued by the story in spite of having like no knowledge of like the general world.
There's definitely lore drops I get, or even curio museum pieces that I'm like, oh man, I bet this makes way more sense if you know this previous 2 games here.
Yeah. One thing I won't spoil it, but I will say I'm not nearly as far along as you. I'm still in Paradise, like the big capital city, like kind of trying to find everything I can in there before I move on. I was shocked by the thing that happens when you enter that city, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That was a very unexpected story twist.
Yeah, I think they handle it well because it gives you some mechanics that are interesting, but then glued into the narrative.
Yeah, and they also and they kind of leave you in the dark about what happened and why. Yeah, in a way that makes you want to know more.
I don't want this to be spoiled, so people, if you're listening to this, don't message me. But I am genuinely curious about what spreadsheet is being filled in behind the scenes in this game, and how that will, if and how that plays out at the end of the game, because it does feel like as the game is going on, it has the vibe that my actions underneath the surface in the bowels of this game's engine are deciding things later on. And will this be a slideshow at the end that's kind of like, or will this actually determine a big ending cinematic? I don't know.
Yeah, or will there even be big implications? Because it seems like a lot of the decisions are very in the moment. Like, oh, this decision is going to determine whether I fight this person or talk them out of the thing.
Yeah.
Or this decision is going to determine like which of the powers I get on that godlike tree, you know?
Yes.
But I also wonder if those will accumulate and result in some big thing at the end.
I don't know. I'm excited to find out. That's Avowed. Continuing to go on and on. I'm happy that game is doing, or it seemed to be doing well.
I hope so.
I think it's probably one of the more successful things Microsoft has had in recent memory.
Like definitely critically. I don't know about sales, but yeah.
I've also been playing a lot of Split Fiction. I continue to really enjoy that game. My kids finished it without me, of course, because
you're getting left in the dust, old man.
I know, seriously. But I tried to avoid spoilers and popping into the room when they were playing. But I really enjoy that. I think it still continues to be pretty creative. I heard them howling a little bit or getting mad at each other from the other room. So I wonder if things get a little more intense with timing. Like, hey, it wasn't my fault. Hey, you said you were going to do it. Let go of the thing. You know, some of that.
Yeah.
But I've still really enjoyed it. I think the things that happen in it are still pretty novel. Some slow parts, some parts that are more actiony than others.
I saw a clip going around of something involving a cell phone that seemed quite novel.
Oh, I don't know if I got that yet.
Quite clever, quite creative, let's say. Like done pretty well.
Oh, wait. Okay. Yes. I think I do know the part you're talking about, but okay. Yeah. It's probably on the back of the motorcycle.
Yes. Yeah. That stuff looked good. I thought I would play more of this week, but I left it to my girlfriend and she was not interested.
I showed my partner the like one of the trailers for it, at least, because she's always asking like, hey, are there any games coming out right now that I might like? And I'm like, well, we could potentially play this together. I showed her the trailer and she was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, she has a hard job and it's kind of a tough sell, you know, when she's tired at night and just wants to go to bed. Like, hey, come play this game with me. So maybe we will get back to it at some point. But
I like it. I think it's pretty or fairly novel in keeping up its momentum. Like, there's a lot of opportunity for that to get stuck in a rut. And so far, I always look forward to the next big mechanic they're going to introduce in each story, what the new thing is going to be. So a lot of fun there. I think I'm actually going to try and play that with Drew this week. So I'm curious to see how playing that with another adult goes versus playing that with my kids. So my son, you know, he's like 13. He's totally competent at video games at this point. So, I mean, he's better than I am at certain things. So it's not like playing it with a child, but I wonder if he'll get bored like Drew, or like if we'll find it interesting together. We will find out. I'll report back. How about Brad? Continuing on what we've been playing this week, we went back to PUBG.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I know. We were trying to find something to avoid. We're taking a pause on Void Crew because there's a huge update coming.
Yeah.
Like I'm turning into that person with this game where I follow all the posts from the developers very intently and get extremely excited about quality of life updates. What do you mean you're adding a periscope?
Sounds kind of rad.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. You can save in run, mid run.
Yeah. What do you mean there's a 6-player mode coming?
I mean, it's a big ship.
You know,
it's a big ship.
A lot of stuff there. What do you mean consecrated hull plates are going away?
Why?
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. We were trying to find something else to stream on Monday, and like I've just had PUBG in the back of my head for the last few months, just thinking like I would not mind checking that out again at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We got Will to walk us through some PUBG.
If ever there was a person to do it with.
I didn't realize he's played like 5,000 hours of PUBG.
That tracks over time. I mean, that game is what, 2017?
Yes, that's an 8-year-old game now, and like I don't mean to be unkind, but it kind of looks it.
Yeah, it looked old when it came out.
Like in my mind, it looked way better than, or I thought maybe they would have upgraded it by now, like visually, but it definitely is maybe showing its age a little bit.
Yeah. What would you say was your experience? You think?
Pretty well. I mean, like not to him. Like he had a million complaints about how they've changed the character of the game in different ways, but like the core of it definitely still felt like the same game to me. Like setting aside like what the new maps are like and how much they've changed the itemization, which is to say apparently there are just guns and armor and stuff everywhere now.
That was the big thing that felt different to me, was feeling very surface level. I am not trying to say it was never like this, but my memory and what we experienced when we played it was we had pretty sick loadouts fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, that
and
game.
How fast did you die despite it?
We got our chicken dinner first run.
First match in 6 years. Got a chicken dinner. I mean,
all right.
Like, is it bots? Who could say?
Very possibly.
Who could say? And we placed mostly, except for the one where we wiped right away. But we mostly placed.
We made it to like second or third place.
Look, if you got the chicken dinner, that's an accomplishment. It doesn't matter how many times you wiped beyond that. If you get one,
and that one really tense moment with like us and one other squad at the end felt very classic PUBG.
Yes. But I think there was a part of PUBG when we played it initially, like 10-ish years ago, that was more about like, hey, we have to stop here to try and find loot. Like, I need to get more gear, a better gun, a bigger backpack, a helmet,
a 4X scope, what have you.
Whatever it was. And that felt like when we landed, we mostly, after looting the houses, were pretty stocked with, maybe you could find better stuff, but we were pretty kitted out.
It was pretty hard to come out of whatever area you dropped in without 2 good weapons and a sidearm and armor and a backpack and
a lot of attachments
and a bunch of attachments and boosts and healing. Like you're kind of
Yeah. So, I mean, look, at some point that probably becomes more of the game of just playing and competing versus finding loot. But to me, in my memory, it was a lot more of the danger of wanting to check a house and like, are the doors open? Or do people come in here and loot this place?
Is it completely looted out already? Like now it's impossible for a place to be looted out because there's so many damn guns in there that even after people get what they want, there's still plenty left over. Like,
yeah,
that is inherently way less interesting to me.
To me, again, I think that wasn't necessarily something. Will had his own very in the meta, complaints about the game, and not the least of which I think there are a lot of maps now. So you cycle through. Well, maybe it is the least of which. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Will, but a lot of maps you cycle through. Versus when we played, did they ever get the 2 while we were still playing? Did they introduce a second map?
Yeah, they did. There was. I want to say by the time we stopped playing, they may have even gotten a map 3.
Okay. Were they cycling them, or they put them in rotation?
I think they were in rotation, if I remember correctly.
Okay. This was like you kind of queue up and the maps kind of go through a cycle. Like there's just like whichever map you got. Some cool things these are in other games, but you can follow the group leader when they jump out of the plane to just be like, hey, where are we going? I'm literally gonna glue myself to your path here, wherever you go. It's a game for me that was my first big battle royale experience. So seeing where it is now with the cosmetics and the shops and as other games have really eclipsed PUBG to own that space in a way that space might be collapsing on itself, is interesting to go back to. So
yeah, I think I got what I needed in that 2 hours ish. Like I went to uninstall it this morning. I didn't uninstall it, but I started to. I was like, I'll let it ride for another week or two just in case. But yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, I did pop in for a couple of matches with that game a couple of years ago, but that was exactly the experience I had. Was I tried it out? I was like, okay, I'm good, and then I did not play any more of it.
So check this out. I'm not going to pin this on PUBG.
Pin it on PUBG.
I'm just going to tell you a story. I installed PUBG. I had a little. When I went to go launch it, my computer completely blue screened and it rebooted.
Okay.
Every time I'd hit my start menu, the way I use Windows 11 and the way I use Windows 10 is usually through the start menu, and I hit the start menu key, the Windows key, and just type in the app I want to run. Right, that's kind of how it would hang. After I installed PUBG, every time I hit the start menu, it just have the version number of Windows in the corner of the start menu, and it would hang for like 15 seconds and then populate with stuff.
That's somewhat peculiar.
I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, when did this start happening? Is this new Windows 11 thing? We did our stream. I was like, I'm getting rid of PUBG. As soon as I got rid of PUBG, that went away.
Really?
Yeah. So
I would pin that on PUBG.
They're in your computer.
Yep.
I mean, that game does run some fairly substantial, like kind of privileged anti-cheat stuff that is deep in the bowels of Windows. So it's possible.
I don't know. As soon as I uninstalled it, things went back to normal. And I was like, all right, let's go. I will also say this, since we all installed Fortnite or had Fortnite ready to go just in case PUBG went sideways. Fortnite's a pretty big install now. There's
a lot of Fortnite is the thing. There's a lot of things in Fortnite.
That is for sure.
That was a bigger install. I always imagine that game being like one of those like, oh, it's like a weird 20 gig download that just runs.
I know I've called Fortnite video game McDonald's a lot, and I still think that description sort of holds up, but in a way they've actually kind of become video game Costco in that it is just a gigantic warehouse full of stuff.
Yeah, probably more a platform than a game. So maybe we'll go Fortnite some other time. But yeah, that was PUBG. I think I'm with you, Brad. I think I got what I needed to get out of Return to the Player Unknown.
Maybe we'll play some Fortnite at some point.
Maybe. I hear it's still popular.
Mm-hmm.
Alex.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears here. You got anything you want to share that you've been up to? Still chipping away at?
Yeah, I'm still chipping away at Pirate Yakuza. That game continues to be ridiculous. The amount of ill shit that you get up to while a roughly 10-year-old boy and a baby tiger are constantly in tow behind you is very funny.
Okay.
I did make it to Honolulu now. So the map from the last Yakuza game has finally come into play.
I don't know if I've asked this, but are you running parallel to the
This is after the last game.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is some months after the events of the last game.
Got it. All right.
But yeah, so like you do go to Honolulu, you have to find a shipwright who will help build out your ship so that you can become part of the pirate arena.
Okay.
Which is where you go to do both like, fisticuffs and boat battles against other pirates, because you're trying to get back at this other pirate who is the current reigning champion of that arena. And I've started recruiting new crew, including a guy I met on an island named Captain Beef.
Just Captain Beef.
He's Captain Beef. He is a guy whose dad was a treasure hunter. This guy never really had a feel for it. He was more into video games and streaming. But his dad died, and his last wish was that his son take up the treasure hunting mantle. So he hires a bunch of people on a gig app to become pirates, and then starts out on his treasure hunting adventure, and then immediately runs into Majima and fails.
Oh, but now is recruited.
But now he's part of your crew as Captain Beef, and he's a real dork.
Aw.
But these games are always populated with weird dorks. So like he's the first fun new weird dork I've met.
Are you enjoying your run through Pirate Yakuza?
So far, it's very breezy. Like, the dramatic stakes don't seem that high so far. They're mostly just about, hey, Majima hasn't gotten a big spotlight in a while. Like, honestly, probably since Yakuza 0. So now they're doing it, and people like playing as Majima, and it's pretty frivolous so far, but in a fun way.
Okay.
I wonder how long it is.
I think it's in like the 40-hour range, maybe. It's not supposed to be nearly as long as like the full-on Like a Dragon sequels.
Yeah, like I think of those. Again, 7 is the only one I played a lot of, but like those are like sprawling several dozen hour epics, right?
I think Man Who Erased His Name was somewhere around 20, if I remember correctly.
Okay, this feels
bigger than that, but maybe not by like a huge margin.
Yeah, I wondered if this was more in that spin-off. Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, that's How Long to Beat says 19 and a half hours main story.
Yeah, there's a lot of treasure to find and a lot of islands to explore to find that treasure. So I bet you could really ramp that time up if you were just dead set on finding all that stuff. That said, I bet the story is actually pretty breezy the whole way through.
But enjoying it.
Definitely enjoying it. Again, it is a trifle, but it is so far a delightful one.
Brad, I'm gonna bounce back to you.
Yes.
Deliver at all costs. The demo for Deliver at All costs?
Yes, I have mostly been focused on unreleased video games that we will be able to talk about next week.
Uh-huh.
But I did pull up a demo that I had banked from the Next Fest called Deliver at All Costs. If you look at screenshots for it, I think you will immediately understand why.
I'm looking at screenshots for it.
It is an overhead driving game.
Is it old GTA style?
Kind of.
Okay.
Let's say, kind of reminds me of Renegade Ops.
Okay.
That is an immediate association I can make.
Oh, I see. Now I'm looking at a video of it. Yeah.
It is very much an overhead driving game with extremely slidey car physics.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's kind of like if Renegade Ops and Crazy Taxi got together.
Okay.
Because it's about driving around a town making deliveries, not driving around shooting stuff.
Right.
It's weirdly story heavy. This is published by Konami, weirdly enough. It's Konami still making video games. Like smaller developer, I guess, but there's a weird amount of story. Like there's on foot stuff where you're playing this it's set in the 50s. It's got like this like nuclear age, space age, like kind of Fallout-y sort of vibe to it. Mm-hmm. You're like a down on his luck engineer who has to take a delivery job to make ends meet on this island. Mm-hmm. It's like a weird amount of running back and forth on foot, watching cutscenes of characters talk to each other to set this thing up before you can just go deliver some shit. Mm-hmm. The driving is ridiculous, though. Like at first, I was like, this maybe seems like a little too much story for this concept. Mm-hmm. But the story seems to play it pretty straight so far. And then when you get in and drive and see how like absurd all of the action is, then I was like, okay, like the serious story combined with this dumbass driving action actually feels like a pretty like maybe intentional contrast.
This looks cool.
It feels really good to drive. Like again, that car slides like a mother around turns.
Uh-huh.
It's extremely physicsy. Like everything is destructible. Like the environment, they seem to really pepper the environment with wooden buildings, so they give you more structures you can just completely demolish as you drive around. Mm-hmm. There are tons of lifeguard towers and like shanties and wooden whatever's up on stilts type stuff. I mean, plenty of real buildings that you can't drive through as well.
Is it frustrating?
Not so far at all.
Okay,
because it's so liberal about like. Your car can take damage, but you just get out. You have to just get out and like fix it. Like you just like, you can have a tire blowout, and then all you have to do is just run up to the tire and hit a button, and it immediately comes back.
Okay.
People get pissed off at you. Like people on foot get pissed as you run into them and cause damage and stuff. So you'll have like people chasing you around all the time. And it escalated to the point where the people had chainsaws that were coming after me. So they're like trying to saw my car apart.
Oh dear.
You can get out of the car and shove them to the ground to get them off of you. It seems really dumb.
Yeah.
It's fun to drive around in. I'm not sure. Oh, also, I didn't get into this in the demo, but you're finding money on the map and like finding crafting parts and stuff, and you can buy blueprints and craft shit for your car.
Ooh.
So you can craft like a crane arm or like airbags on the outside of the car, which presumably would make things bounce off of you.
Huh.
Now there was like some like time machine you can craft to make like cornering slow down and stuff. Like it seems like a weird mix of like really earnest storytelling and really stupid car action and upgrade mechanics and stuff. Like I'm going to check out the final game when it comes out. It seems really weird and
this
goofy.
sounds like something I could get into.
Yeah, it seems pretty neat.
Yeah, that seemed no release date on that.
No, it's just coming soon right now.
Okay, yeah, that seems cool.
Yeah, it seems like a very light thing so far.
That's fine.
Like probably not a super long or deep thing. Like I said, the crafting and stuff, there might be some depth to it, but like it seems like maybe in a $20 to $30 game kind of range.
It's funny. There's an itch page for Delivery Man that you can download. I wonder if that's where this started.
It might have.
Same developers.
It very much looks exactly like this game, but I wonder if it was just where this started. This game looks super cool.
Yeah, it's neat. I will play more of that.
All right. Anything else game-wise?
Nope. Not that I can talk about right now.
Ooh.
The thing I played yesterday was very cool, and I want to play more of it, but the servers are down now.
Okay.
But they will be back up next week.
Okay. Then we are going to move on to the news. So stick around. We'll be right back. And we are back. And here we go. Jumping into the news. And it's never too early. Never too early to just start the political cycle again and just get the election side. Never too early. And never too early to start talking about the next gen of video games.
That's right.
Two things that just never, you can really, you buy a console, let's start talking about what the next console might be.
Yeah.
Though this one is, look, do you feel
so it's the Mariah Carey theory of Christmas, which is that it must forever encroach on the rest of the year.
Yes, it's always Christmas here. But let me ask you this, Brad, are you feeling it? Are you ready for the next gen? Would you call this mid-cycle? Would you call this end of cycle?
Definitely mid-cycle. We're past the 4-year mark, so
I think we're at the reload stage now, right?
Even on an 8-year console cycle, which is on the long side, I think that's the longest we've ever had, right?
The
Yeah,
last
that's right.
one was, yes.
Last one was 7, 2013 to 2020. The one before that, the 360 made it 8 years, so that's kind of the longest. Even on an 8-year cycle, which is on the long end of what we've seen in the past, we're past the halfway mark now.
And I'll add, we got our PS5 Pro. I don't know if we're getting any Xbox Pro version.
No. 1000% no.
You've got some news pulled here about maybe what Xbox potentially is up to.
Jez Corden from Windows Central back, I think we cited him, was it like 3 weeks ago? It was like literally just like a line in some other story he had written about something kind of unrelated to the effect of like, the next Xbox has been like concept approved inside of Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
He's back with a much bigger report now about kind of a pretty extensive dump of what Microsoft's hardware plans look like going forward, both on the next Xbox console front and also their handheld plans, which is actually the bulk of this report and seems super duper interesting to me.
Dump it on me.
Not to bury the lead here, or we should just get it out of the way. He's saying this handheld is, if everything goes according to plan, is due this year.
And that's definitely the lead because boy, this year is going. But the thing that kind of jumped out to me was, what's the actual term for giving it out to third parties to build other products in the SKU?
Kind of working with an OEM, basically.
Okay.
Manufacturing partner or something. So yeah, like the details on this thing are pretty interesting and like make a lot of sense to me. It's not what I expected though from a company that has made all of their own hardware, but it sounds like this handheld is going to be a situation where it's not Microsoft making the handheld.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be working with a partner. Like the story says, Microsoft is working with a PC gaming OEM. Think Asus, Lenovo, MSI, Razer, etc. So it's like, it could be one of those. It could be a different company, but it's, again, like Microsoft has had a very long storied history of making its own hardware, even way before the Xbox, right? Like they made some pretty good, PC game controllers, mice, like all kinds of stuff back into the 90s. But I guess this would be the first Xbox device that is not just straight up made fully in-house.
So it did make me think of their partnership with, who did the expansion drive? The cards?
Seagate?
Seagate was the launch one, and then Western Digital also sells a cheaper one now.
Oh, officially licensed by Microsoft? Okay. Yes, because back in my day, Microsoft was selling that overpriced
the hard drive.
Yes,
the Xbox 360 hard drive,
or whatever you needed for to supplement your console,
your memory needs.
Your first party stuff was first party, and very expensive.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be made by a different company, but this says it's called Project Keenan or Codename Keenan.
Okay.
But this says it'll look very much like an Xbox device, like guide button, presumably the buttons will look the same, like Xbox design sensibilities is what this says. But I think like the real actual interesting detail in this, besides the fact that they're making it with a partner, is his language is a little tough to tell here. What is his like reporting and what is his speculation? Because I think some of this definitely, like some of it is like, I expect the handheld will feature Windows 11, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, so I think some of this, I think, is his informed speculation, but it all like makes extreme sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's going to run Windows. And from what he's describing, I bet it's going to have a sort of controller oriented front end that is basically the Steam Deck experience.
Sure.
Or Microsoft's take on that. Cause like, you know, it's been probably a year or something since, I mean, this is, you know, a lot of people have been saying similar stuff, you know, but I remember saying on a podcast some months or a year ago of like, where is the Steam Deck, SteamOS version of Windows? Like, what is Microsoft doing? Because you can install Windows on even the Steam Deck, let alone these other handhelds from like Lenovo and people like that. But it's just Windows. Like it's, you still just get a mouse driven desktop when you put Windows on there. Like, where is the nicely designed, like for a screen and a controller on a handheld, like an interface front end?
Your Metro-esque Windows 11.
Right. Like, where is the thing that works like a Steam Deck and looks like it has a, you know, a controller-driven launcher and like better power features for suspend and, you know, saving power and like kind of device-aware, you know, like software features tuned for the hardware. Sounds like this is going to be that. I would just about guarantee this is where that is going to debut.
It's I guess I'm in a believe it when I see it version of Windows. Just feels way too top heavy for something like that to work backwards from Windows instead of ground up from some other version of Windows, you know,
well,
to take stuff out of Windows.
Yeah. I mean, that's Xbox has been running Windows in various forms for at least since the Xbox One though. So,
but like, give me like a Windows CE, I'll believe it. But like,
I mean, it probably is going to be something like that. I don't know if they'll brand it differently or what. Yeah. But like, he reminds, go ahead.
Well, do you think that experience would come back into the Windows, the Xbox app on the PC where you can go full screen and do it with a controller?
Maybe, possibly.
That'd be kind of
possible.
Neat, you know?
Certainly possible. Yeah. I mean, I think the bigger thing here is, so like Corden in the story reminds that Phil Spencer has made some kind of teasing comments in the past about like, yeah, it'd be great if you could install Steam on an Xbox. Like, we'd love to allow third-party storefronts on our hardware. So whether this interface would trickle back to the PC, maybe, I don't know. Like, would you be able to install this stripped down Windows on a gaming PC? I don't know about that. I would bet dollars to donuts though that whatever interface ships on this handheld is more or less going to be the interface of the next Xbox, like with plus or minus features that are specific to a handheld or whatever. But and I guess what that really is to say is that next Xbox, I bet, is really going to be more PC-like than ever.
And you might have a Steam widget on that Xbox.
Like either something custom that they built specifically to run on it, or they might just open it up and like there might.
What if you could put a Steam Link style Steam Deck, more Steam Link, but be able to stream games to your console from your PC on the Xbox.
I don't know.
It feels like something they would want you to do.
Yeah. From their store, absolutely. From competitor stores, I don't know. At that point, that might be a bridge too far.
Maybe.
I don't know if we're talking about like you could literally just download the Steam installer and install it on your next Xbox, or if it would be more like, hey, Valve has made a Steam app for this, like very PC-like but still sort of closed ecosystem on this next Xbox. Sorry, I should just mention the other detail because that's all the big stuff for the handheld. He's now saying the next actual Xbox has been greenlit all the way up to the CEO of Microsoft and is due in 2027.
Which isn't that far away, honestly.
So that's a year, 2.5 years at most, basically. Notably, no mention. Sorry, let me read the actual language here.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that the next-gen hardware plans include a premium successor to the powerful Xbox Series X, alongside the Xbox gaming handheld. No mention of a Series S.
I don't know if that's the move anymore, man.
So, no, it's not. It absolutely is not.
Yeah.
It seems to really hamstring them in some ways that didn't do them any favors.
It did, but then if you look at the way that played out versus what it would be like to have a next-gen console alongside a handheld.
Yeah.
Like if you think it was tough getting games for developers to get games to run on the Series S and X across the board, like imagine doing that with a next-gen Xbox and a handheld that has to run in 15 watts or whatever. So I think like the thing I've never been able to figure out is like, how are they going to spin off a handheld from a console?
Yeah.
and let it run all the same games, I think that's the thing they're going to sacrifice. I think they're actually just not going to do that. I think it's going to lean into the Xbox, like everything is an Xbox thing of here's the handheld, it can play the games it can play.
Yeah. Or stream from your Xbox if you need to.
Exactly. Here is the big, powerful new Xbox.
Yeah.
It can play all the games it can play, including a bunch that will not run on this handheld.
Yeah.
The handheld is its own thing.
Yeah.
Like it's going to run PC games. Like plenty of developers are going to make versions of games that'll run on this thing.
Think it would go the other way? Like exclusive handheld?
Probably not, just for economic reasons. Just, people want to sell games on as many platforms as they can.
So you're imagining it, which I think I would imagine too. This is very much a Steam Deck competitor.
Yes.
Like this is playing 100%. Your PC or your Xbox collection. I think I agree with you. Like you said, if you release a game and says this is Xbox Deck certified, that means it'll run fine on there on both platforms. This one will not. This one will. And if it does not, you probably locally can stream it to that thing if you want to do it in handheld mode.
Definitely.
With certain experiences, maybe traded off or not, maybe text or something like that. So.
Yeah, like Patrick was talking on our Volgar stream on Friday about how much he loves streaming games from his PC to his Steam Deck now. Like, yeah, Microsoft would love to just let you stream games from your new big Xbox or your PC with Windows Store games or whatever to this thing. And like giving up that universal compatibility with the Series S that I don't know why I had been clinging to that, because clearly I don't think they're going to. Of just like, how do you sell an Xbox handheld that can't run all the games that are run on a console? But like, I don't think the world expects that anymore. Like plenty of developers are going to make it so that the games they're making can run on that handheld, and I think that'll be enough.
Maybe they're I'm getting out over my skis here, but maybe they're really banking on whatever tech is in that thing for frame generation and scaling, so you could just bump stuff down and pick up 30 frames per second on a handheld from stuff that you can put all the sliders down. You know what I mean? To get that thing to run at something on the handheld. Yeah,
that stuff will definitely help, and I think AMD is catching up pretty dramatically on things like ray tracing and upscaling.
Yeah, and
stuff. So like whatever hardware is potentially in this thing, we'll probably take advantage of that stuff pretty thoroughly.
At what power cost? Like, you get 15 minutes of battery.
Yeah, you were seeing that in some of the SteamOS handhelds out of CES. I think we talked about this a little bit. Like I think it's that first Lenovo Steam Deck competitor that's coming out that ships with SteamOS. Basically is a Steam Deck and everything except the hardware. I think that thing will let you customize how much power you want it to suck.
Okay.
Like, I think the rumor was you'd be able to run it up to like 30 or 40 watts, which, I don't know. What is that, 45 minutes of battery life or something?
Batteries get better and better every month, right? So I don't know. I wonder what the market research says about how people are using these things. If they're laying on a bed with it plugged in, if they are using it on a commute, if they are using it just in the home locally. I don't know anybody who bought that PlayStation device, the portal. Yeah, I just don't know anybody
that have it.
Like, how are they using it? What's the use case on that? Clearly, Microsoft and a lot of this industry is looking at. It's really hard to say handheld. I really feel like these are more like companion things to your PC setup, right? Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but Alex, you have a Steam Deck. Do you use it much anymore?
Yeah, it's infrequent because I don't travel that much these days, but like there are times when I just want to play something that is Steam Deck applicable when I'm on my couch, and I don't necessarily want to like download the console version or like go downstairs to play the PC version. It's just there.
You just want to chill with it. My brother plays a lot of stuff on his Steam Deck as well. And I don't know. I got flirted with getting a Steam Deck just for what you said, Alex. Like, hey, if you just want to like curl up on a chair and play this game that is completely locked to the PC, but doesn't require mouse and keyboard stuff that I need to be playing on there. So I wonder, I just don't commute anymore. So the idea of pulling one of these out on a bus feels so alien to me now,
but at the same time, we're kind of on the other side of that, whereas most people now are being directed to go back to their offices. So I feel like maybe they are, in fact, hedging their bets on the fact that a lot more people are going to be commuting in the future.
Yeah, also, a lot of people, it turns out, just love to lounge in their house and play games on a handheld in the house, which is like never going to be me. But
yeah, so that's what I mean.
People who want that.
getting into a PC game on the bus, even when I had a long commute, I needed more, I don't know, something where I didn't need to use a lot of brain power when I was on a commute. It was mostly like either phone stuff or very little 3DS stuff. Not the idea of playing like a Baldur's Gate on the bus. It just seems so weird to me. That's a me thing.
That's the way it's meant to be played. Just way watching David Lynch movies on a cell phone is the way they are meant to be watched.
But
Get real.
But yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting time for the market. Like these very capable handhelds that are allowing people to play PC games away from the PC is really interesting and cool to me. I think this is a cool place for the market to go.
And it's not at all surprising that Microsoft want to get in on that to some degree, it being Microsoft, like first, even not as a game platform holder, but just as a company like Microsoft wanting to get in on this, here's a handheld thing that looks like a Switch but plays PC games market just makes sense. That said,
an Xbox game. We should say this will play your Xbox.
I know this is an Xbox specific thing, but I'm saying even if they didn't have that, they would probably still want to get into this space at some point because it's a booming marketplace now. Like there's all these knockoff brands, like you said, of the deck stuff. The big thing though, if they're talking about putting this thing out this year, which if they are talking about putting this thing out this year, it makes sense they would go with a third party because I bet there's some company that can spin those things up a hell of a lot faster than they could a company that has never made this particular form factor of device before. But they are choosing to come out the same year as the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they are necessarily going to directly compete with one another the same way that this will compete with a Steam Deck, but Microsoft brand awareness and general people thinking about buying Xbox devices is maybe at an all-time low right now. So doing this the same year as Nintendo, it's an interesting choice. Maybe they feel like they have to do it now. I don't know, but it feels like I don't know that this thing is going to drum up a whole lot of attention unless there's something really novel about it.
I mean, I think it's just probably serving a fairly different. I mean, there's some overlap there, but it's serving a fairly different market, I think, because for one thing, this thing is going to be almost certainly will be like very significantly more powerful than a Switch 2,
and possibly way more expensive.
And run different games, like that's the other thing. And that's the thing I was going to point out here is that even though this will be Xbox branded, I think it's going to be important to know this will almost certainly not run Xbox SKUs of games. I know that like on the surface that's meaningless to most people who just want to go download a game and play it. But what I mean is like, it'll be PC versions of games.
Right.
In the same way that like Avowed, I guess, is a good example. Like on Xbox, you go download Avowed and it's the Xbox version of Avowed that you're downloading. But when you go on your PC and download Avowed from the Microsoft store, that's the PC version of Avowed. And it's those PC versions that are going to be running almost certainly on this thing.
With probably the same settings and tunings in that version.
And that's kind of where this is really smart is they're already leveraging the fact that tons of games are coming out that like you buy once and play on Xbox console or on Windows. Now they're just making a PC handheld that will play those same Windows games but look like Xbox games. And like this is honestly like kind of like the one Hail Mary competitive advantage they can throw against Sony in the console space. This is like the one thing that Microsoft still has over Sony is leveraging this way broader ecosystem and like way more expertise managing operating systems and connected things that work with each other across different domains. You know what I mean? Like Sony still is just a console game maker. Like they're dabbling in some PC ports now, but like Microsoft has just got dramatically more institutionally more competence with all the moving parts you need to make an ecosystem like this go. So like, I think this is kind of their last best chance to try to regain some foothold in the console market. Because just competing like head to head on apples to apples that's done at this point. So like, building an ecosystem where you can be like, hey, you can buy the next Xbox and this handheld, play the same games across both, buy them once.
Yep.
You can play, you can put
cross
Steam on here.
Built in. And,
like all the cross save stuff. You can put Steam and the Epic Store on here. Like the other thing is that's what the Steam Deck can't do against this is play all those Windows games that have like Windows specific anti-cheat in them. So it's like, hey, here's your Steam Deck competitor that can play Fortnite natively, which you can't do on a Steam Deck. Like stuff like that. So like I'm not saying they will pull this off, but it's a pretty ambitious plan with a lot of moving parts. But like,
you definitely see the strategy.
You see like a vision coming together here that if they execute really well on every level, like could actually be quite appealing.
I also think it is, while you were talking about that, the vision of, oh, okay, look, I get this thing. I install Steam on this thing, and suddenly I'm playing God of War on my goddamn Xbox. They did it. They were able to get Sony games on their Xbox product by circumventing it and just having it go through Steam.
It's like the whole joke about showing a PS5 and saying this is an Xbox.
Yep.
Like, it's not that far off from a joke at this point.
So yeah, a lot TBD. This is still not confirmed by Microsoft officially. So we'll see, but 2025 is now. So
yeah, and I to be fair, I think there was some language of like, that's like if plans come together, they are looking to get it out this year. If plans are met, so slated for later in 2025, if plans are met, so that could slip, but I think probably not that far off.
I think you're right, Alex. Going with a third party who is probably looking into building some kind of Steam deck equivalent thing is probably the fastest way to get that out. And we think, according to their language, it does sound like they're going with an OEM and not going with OEM. So there's probably just one partner, and not like they're not putting it out there to get multiple versions of this.
Yeah, right? that sounds like that's probably right. Working with a PC gaming OEM, and I guess if they're going hard on Xbox like brand identity in this thing, making it look like an Xbox piece of hardware, it would make more sense for them to just have the one model and not make it something that other developers, other companies can make their own device.
Yeah. I wonder how that goes. And I wonder if this thing comes in at like $700, $600, like what the price point on it winds up being.
Yeah.
What's the current Steam Deck? The big one?
The current, I think the most expensive one is like $600, but that's getting into like bigger storage and better screen.
Yeah.
The cheapest Steam Deck's like $350 now.
Is it really?
But that's the old model with the LCD that has been kind of de-emphasized.
You could still get it though?
No, $399. I'm sorry. They still sell it. They still sell they only have one LCD model, which is $400 now.
Okay.
And then it's $550 and $650 for the two OLED models. I would guess this Xbox thing will probably be relatively competitive with the Steam Deck pricing.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And for folks who do use it on their commute and stuff, we'll see what the battery life is. And I know that's a huge concern for a lot of these devices, and long commutes and playing on a bus or even on an airplane and stuff. All right. TBD on that. And also, again, not to just undersell it, but 2027 rumored for the next console. So according to this speculation. Next up, and slightly related here, we talked about it briefly, but Forza Horizon 5 on the PlayStation 5. Brad might come with a caveat or two.
Yeah, they've put up in the FAQ for the PlayStation 5 release of Forza Horizon 5 that you will have to make and sign into an Xbox account to play it. Like, it requires, the PS5 version of Forza Horizon 5 requires an Xbox account to play, which I don't think they've done in any of their releases so far.
That wasn't on Sea of Thieves or anything?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the case.
I don't think we would be bringing it up now if this had been the standard prior to that.
Yeah.
I wasn't, when you posted this story and I read through it, I was a little bit like, I haven't played any of those releases on the PS5, so I don't know, but I was a little surprised that it wasn't the case for, crossplay or account linking or anything like that. So,
yeah, I think you would have to sign into it for stuff like that, for if you want,
but
some
not
of those
required
cross-platform features. But the fact that they put up literally says, in addition to a PSN account, you'll need to link to a Microsoft account in order to play Forza Horizon 5 on PS5.
And according to that story you linked, the thrust of that story was concerns over longevity in that feature being there, basically.
Yeah, that preservation people certainly are not happy about this sort of thing. To my mind, like they're the two big platform holders. Like if either of the account systems goes down that enables the playing of this game, I think we've probably got bigger problems than Forza Horizon 5 on PS5 not being playable.
Yeah, I think also, right, and the thrust of that story being like you're now reliant on two services to be going, but also, you're a little reliant on Microsoft handling this in the same way it handles native account login versus relying on Sony's backend to hook you into Microsoft's thing, right?
Yeah, it is two account systems now, although based on recent history, I'm going to say, because I think the Microsoft account is a lot more reliable than the PlayStation one.
Yeah,
for now.
As long as it's not the Steam, when they had Steam, you log into your Sony, link your Sony thing, and you could log in there, and that was for Portal?
Portal 2 on the PS3 lets you sign into Steam on a PS3, which is still one of the weirdest cross-platform things I remember.
And then it was like on the Steam login for a long, long time, the PlayStation login thing, and no longer anymore.
Yep. So. Yeah. The other detail here that I had forgotten is there is not going to be a physical release of this game. So that's the other thing, is that it both requires 2 accounts and there's no disc version. So it is pretty locked up behind digital walls. But anyway,
you got a blue branded PlayStation Blu-ray case of a Forza thing would be pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are they still blue? I haven't bought a PS5 physical game.
Yeah, the cases are blue. The front thing is white. The big
yeah.
logo thing at the top. It would not be the first time I printed out an insert for a game case and put it in there.
Okay.
Shouldn't get into it. It's embarrassing. I printed the Japanese box art for Eco when my friend worked at a very high-end legal office with nice 20 whenever Eco came out 25 years ago. The American box art for Eco is a crime among crimes as far as box art goes.
It's pretty fucking bad.
I was like, this game rules and I can't stand this. I'm going to make the good box art.
Nice.
And put it in there, and I still have it.
Was it on glossy paper? Or just paper? Oh, wow.
You can barely tell.
Yeah, nice. Sorry, Alex, were you going to add a little Forza-ness?
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, the whole vibe around these PS5 things has very much been like this is how you get to play these, not like we are trying to make them as widely available to everyone as possible. It's like, no, we'll put them on your storefronts. You can play them this way. That's it. And I understand that's the concession, is if you want, let's just say, the more outfitted for a specific platform version, buy the Xbox version or what have you. But at the same, I agree with the preservation aspect of it, though. Like, I think this is kind of a shitty thing to not be able to have in perpetuity, but I also understand that Microsoft is trying to do this in a way that will not completely negate the advantage, what advantage they would have by having this game on their own platform.
Yeah, I mean, just from a straight up user convenience perspective, it would be nice if you didn't have to worry about this and you just could play it like you play every other PS5 game you buy. But again, I'm not super worried about the Xbox account system going away anytime soon.
No, though you never know. You never know. And their priority, to be honest, to make it work on a Forza 5 Horizon or a Forza Horizon game on the PS5 would be lower down the list than to make their other stuff work natively if they ever do decide to change how the auth works or something.
Right.
When we get to quantum computing, Brad, and everybody has to have a new auth, beware.
We're this close, man.
We're like just a hair's breadth away. Next up here, speaking of a hair's breadth away, Death Stranding 2, always a hair's breadth away.
June 26th.
I think that's coming up.
Not that far off. I feel like we're still in the phase of going, what's going to come out this year? Like, what games are coming out this year? There's not a lot confirmed yet.
Yeah.
What do we got? I saw the voice actor from Marvel 1943, remember that Captain America Black Panther game?
Yeah.
That Amy Hennig's team is doing was...
not until you mentioned it, I had forgotten about it, but yeah.
I mean, they haven't shown much of it since they announced it, but there was a voice actor from that game saying it's coming out this year. So I think that supposedly is a later in the year game, just to mention games that are coming out, but that's not announced, and this is.
Yeah.
June 26th for Death Stranding 2.
And a 10-minute trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It is edited by Hideo Kojima, as you can imagine.
As they often are. Can't help himself.
I gotta say, I watched this trailer.
More endings than AI.
And it got me pretty excited for Death Stranding 2.
I think I might be very looking forward to Death Stranding 2.
Yeah. Got me back in. I had been pretty far out.
That is a very good looking game, whatever else you want to say about how unhinged parts of it look.
100%.
Just the gameplay shots in that trailer look fucking incredible.
Also, that baby looks like a pretty well-rendered baby.
Yeah,
doesn't look like a normal video game baby, which...
That's Lou.
It is.
Sorry.
Lou is not just any baby, all right? It's not equipment, all right?
Is Lou the baby that was in the chamber thing in the first one?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that was your adopted
BP or
BB.
BB?
Your
yes?
BB.
BB.
Okay.
BB.
How efficiently can you recap the story of Death Stranding?
Oh,
fuck.
God.
Because I got 30 or 40 hours into the game, but I mostly just enjoyed playing it. And then when it got really story heavy again, I tapped out. So
All right, here's what I got
Okay.
just off the dome.
Here you go.
You are Sam Porter Bridges.
Uh-huh.
You are a porter.
Uh-huh.
You build bridges.
Uh-huh.
You are connecting America,
Uh-huh.
this primordial version of America that has shaped because of the time fall
Sure.
that has
I
warped everything around you.
I
Yeah.
remember all that stuff. I mean,
Yep.
give me the juicy bullet points though. Like, aren't you the son of the president?
I'm getting
Uh-huh.
that. I'm
Uh-huh.
going
Isn't
bit
it-
by bit.
I-
That's the
I-
setup.
Okay.
Your mother is the president.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But you don't find that out until later, right?
It's heavily alluded to at
Oh,
the
is it?
beginning, but
Okay.
I think they really hammer it toward the end. But it's not really. They're not hiding it at the beginning. And
Okay.
but anyway, yeah, you're on the mission to reconnect America. Everyone's there's the time fall. There's the weird tar beings that sort of
Uh-huh.
emerge from the goop. What I remember is that there's the beaches. That's the whole thing. The beach is like the other dimension that you sort of flit in and out of at various
Mhm.
points. Mads Mikkelsen is a soldier from old America that is now some sort of demon wraith that is out there just haunting you, and I also believe is the father of your BB.
Oh gosh. Okay, you've gone too far for me. I don't remember that. Is that connection made?
I think the
explicit?
when they finally do the flashback
At the very end,
at
the
the
baby's
very
stolen.
end,
Yeah.
the BB that is your BB was born to the still mother that Mads Mikkelsen's character was, let's just say, attached to.
Okay. And what are the dooms? Like do you remember they're like, are they the stranded, the people who are like,
Okay, so there's Higgs, which is the
Troy Baker
Troy
character.
Baker character
Yeah.
who was in the last game. He was the bad guy primarily in the last game, and I hated that character. They made him look way more like a glam rock clown this time around, so we'll see how that goes. But his whole thing, I think he was part of Dooms, if I remember correctly. He was some sort of super soldier that also had special abilities. He was trying to fucking wreck everything. I forget why. That's maybe like the least developed part of that game, from what I remember.
That's what a video game villain do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The corpses would have. There was the corpse, like the fucking nuclear explosion corpses. Remember
Yeah,
those?
that's
Like,
what-
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Yeah, the
Like,
chiral network.
Fragile
Chiron.
was also like a porter, but like a different one, like a freelance
But could
libertarian porter.
teleport.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
Chiral
umbrella.
Network, Conan O'Brien. I remember a lot
Yeah.
of that stuff. But it was like
Yeah.
the stuff at the end of the game is the stuff I never saw that people seemed really been out of shape about or excited about, depending on who you are. Like there's some like Mario shit in there, right?
Well, there's the you keep going to the beach and you see this vision of this girl who is either your sister or
Right.
an ethereal vision of your mother 30 years
Right.
beforehand, which, by the way, it's just Lindsay Wagner, but from the years when Hideo Kojima was horny for her.
Okay.
Anyway, that line is in there when you were talking to that person entity, and she
Okay.
kind of throws that one down. It's a real juicy piece of dialogue, that's for sure. The problem at the end of that game is that most of what happens just isn't actually that interesting. Like, they sort of tie up a lot of the connective tissue, so to speak, but nothing really happens with Higgs that's that interesting. I think the last bit where you do see that Sam and Lou, now out of the jar,
Yeah.
are living is like kind of a good little poignant moment, but a lot of what kind of goes in between there in the last third is not that great. There's a whole section where you just climb a fucking mountain, and it is the most tedious and boring fucking thing in the world.
Yes, I was engaged. I started climbing the mountain, and then I stopped playing that game.
My problem with the first one was you do all this work and then I feel like it's wiped away 3/4 of the way through the game. Not only by the time fall, because it disintegrates everything
Yeah.
you've built, but just in terms of like plot wise, I would really need to read a recap or watch a recap for everything. I do know that you kind of succeed in rejoining the disparate parts of the United States.
You've connected the country by the
Well,
end of it.
yeah.
And
Well,
like,
guess what? We
What,
should
maybe-
never have connected.
We should never have connected.
that's maybe the most prescient thing this game has to offer is
So-
you're right.
if the first game was a statement about how we are better connected and like people need to make connections, I am very curious to see what Hideo Kojima stance is now, being like, no.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. They put that game out in 2019.
Uh-huh.
What would we maybe learned in those ensuing years in particular?
Get offline. Get off. It's all bad.
So let me just say, I did not like Death Stranding overall. I think it had some cool ideas, some of which they are leaning very hard into seemingly in this new one, in this trailer, which is to say a greater variety of places to walk around that look really fucking cool. That stuff I'm way into. The story part was the part that really soured me on a lot of it, and I don't know how to make heads or tails of anything related to the story based on this 10-minute video, but it sure looks weird.
It looks batshit, man. Like there seems to be so much crammed into this.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
A new ship rides the tar tides or whatever the fuck it is they say.
Looks like there's a lot more environment variety. I think you kind of only had the rocky and the snowy in the first one, from what I can remember.
They full on do their environment montage in this,
and they look great.
Like looks like there's a lot of variety too. Like I really liked playing Death Stranding. Like I spent so much time in chapter 3 or whatever it was, that big open area where you could
that is the part of that game that is great.
Where you got the car,
where you could build the highways and drive around and do all the portering and stuff. Like I really liked that aspect of the game, and like I would love to play a better version of that. Now, is this game actually that better version? I don't know. Who knows where they've taken it?
Will you get a kaiju? And be able to have giant monster battles.
What is this Nicholas Winding Refn thing at the very end? Where
please, that's Heartman.
Appears to put on a Metal Gear helmet and is driving a Metal Gear around with his brain or something.
It seems like he's doing the Pacific Rim drift with something, yeah.
Yes, and also there's your fake Solid Snake facsimile in this thing as well. Like
that. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Your Solid Snake stand-in is apparently a still mother smuggler from the old days. I don't know if he's the new soldier wraith in this. Like, did he take over from Mads Mikkelsen? What's going on there? Doesn't really matter. This is the funniest fucking thing he possibly could have done from the sequel, which is to say, the last game was maybe just very metaphorically about losing the thing that is your child, you know, whether that is a brand or a literal baby, whatever that is. This is now realizing that you can no longer be with the man that you desire, so you invent a hotter, more Latin version of him.
Love the one you're with is what you're saying?
I know this is an Italian actor, but they talking about smuggling across the border from Mexico. I think this character might be from Mexico, regardless, but still, when he puts on that fucking bandana, what can you do? Yeah. What can you do but cackle at that?
Yeah, sure. I still can't get over the fact that you just said the word still mother smuggler with complete earnestness.
Look, the still mother thing is maybe one of the more, let's call it, hanky versions of things in the last game. Seems like they're leaning harder on it this time.
Something, oh gosh, I can't remember the whole mechanic, but the BBs, if they're still connected to the mother when they die or something, can see the BTs, right? Is that, and then if you have the BB... The
BB can see the BTs. It can detect the BTs because it was born to the still mother.
Yes.
And so when the still mother goes into, again, this shit is fucked.
Yeah, and then so you have to carry. That's why you carry around the BBs, because the BBs can detect the BTs, and that the Dooms I think were the level 2 Doom, or like the big tar
Dooms
things.
was like the psychic ability I think that was like latent in people to either detect or in tune
I can't
with
remember.
You talk about this looking overstuffed. The last game was kind of overstuffed, just in a different way, seemingly.
Yeah. Look, I know we're getting a lot wrong here, so it
has been several years since I played that game.
Yeah. I will absolutely, if they do not have at least a 25-minute recap video baked into the top of this game or released as a optional thing to watch, they have messed up royally. And I'm going to go with at least a 25-minute video baked into this thing. When you start this game, some very well rendered, very well voice acted delivery of the first game.
I don't know about that second one, but okay.
Of the first game will probably happen in a very long way that maybe you can skip if you do a New Game Plus or something like that.
Unless he doesn't want it to.
Oh, it's got you got to.
I could see him being of the opinion that like, what came before doesn't matter. Like, you just need to let it wash over you.
I think he's going to tell you the story by way of Sam Porter Bridges telling someone else about the events of the last game.
And that's what happened.
That's
Don't
what
touch
I think.
me. He also doesn't like being touched.
No.
He was like, yeah.
Okay, so in addition to that, we knew that our friend from Mad Max, George Miller, was going to be in this. I do like his getup. I know it's another situation where it is not him voice acting. It is they got a voice actor to do that voice, similar to Nicholas Winding Refn and Guillermo del Toro in the last one.
Just their likeness.
That said, the puppet.
Uh-huh.
We need to talk about the puppet for a second here, because the puppet, it gets the same featuring whatever the actor is. I didn't quite catch who it was, but then there's also a different voice. So, like, is this the likeness of a person that I just don't know? What's going on here?
That was my interpretation of that, is that the look of the puppet is modeled after one person, and then there's another person providing the voice, I think.
He's just scanning entirely too many people at this rate.
Or maybe there's a person doing some mocap for that puppet. I don't know.
Because the puppet also moves in stop motion, even when everything else around it doesn't, which I think is a very funny touch. But also, there's a puppet, and then there's also like a crash test dummy that apparently has a name, but no actor attached to it. And then the Red Samurai shows up, and you're like, okay, I don't know what that is, but sure.
It's a lot to take in. Watching this video is just a lot to consume.
Yeah, but it got me excited.
Mission
We're talking about it, aren't we?
I think I am extremely on board for this game now.
Yeah.
Listen, I need it to be good. That's the thing.
I mean,
the weird for weird's sake isn't enough for me anymore. It wasn't enough for me in Death Stranding 1. There was some really amazing imagery in that game, but as a game, it was extremely disjointed. It had one great section, and that was kind of it. If they build on that and they make it a much bigger, crazier version of that section of that game, then I'm all the way in.
Yeah, to be clear, that's what I want. Like, I'm not sold on all the weird stuff in this necessarily. Like, I don't know how well it'll be all tied together. I just want a better game than the first one was, because the structure of what was there was extremely interesting, and it just needs to be fleshed out.
Yeah.
And stick the landing. For me, if I remember correctly, I actually go back and listen to my thoughts on it. I was extremely, my emotional response is extremely upset where that game went. I did not like how it wrapped up and how it rewarded your toiling throughout the your time with it.
I think a lot of the events of that game just kind of felt like they barely mattered in the end, and other than the lose stuff, I wasn't invested in anything related to it.
We'll find out this year.
Yeah,
in June.
That's not that far off. That's like 4 months away.
You'll be like, we'll have Summer Games Fest, and then boom, Death Stranding 2, baby.
Mm-hmm.
PS5 exclusive. You know.
Yep.
PC, now. You think in the
I'm sure it'll come.
PC
eventually.
Sooner rather than later, I bet.
Yeah. You think sooner than later? I'm gonna say
I think within a year.
I don't know what the arrangement is this time compared to last time.
Is Sony publishing this?
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, it's exclusive for now, so I would assume they are.
Well, it was signed originally as like, you know, the PlayStation exclusive franchise that we were bringing you from Hideo Kojima, but I wasn't sure if that was for multiple games or if it was just for that first game.
It is listed. It is listed on the PlayStation Store as Sony Interactive Entertainment, so they are definitely publishing it.
But yeah, look, it is possible. You can play this in some form or another on your Xbox handheld. In
perhaps one day.
Yeah, very possible.
One day, yeah.
On a Switch too.
Yeah, right.
Or maybe even on an Xbox console in 3 years, if you can install Steam on that thing.
All right. Should we move on from Death Stranding 2?
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. You did it. I'm excited for Death Stranding 2.
Yeah. Did not expect that when I pulled up that video.
We have a story about Lego here. Brad, what's Lego up to?
There's a couple more quick hits here. This is very brief. Just in the wake of all the Warner Brothers chaos, we kind of speculated about Traveler's Tales and what's up with Lego games.
Uh-huh.
The CEO of Lego in an interview with the Financial Times has mentioned that they are looking to bring more of their game development in-house for the first time. So
that does seem to be the trend.
That's kind of the long and the short of this whole news item. It was just one line in an interview. about a lot of other stuff, but
I mean,
wondering what's like the quote is effectively like in-house game development is quote something we're building up, is what the Lego CEO
I believe
said.
it.
So
I think, am I wrong? Am I misremembering? Did Disney say they're doing that again? They're doing more in-house stuff?
I think Disney
so.
maybe made some gestures, but they haven't announced anything specific at this point.
Yeah, I don't know of any internal Disney development. It's all been pretty much partner driven stuff for the last.
Okay, I could be misremembering.
Years.
Yeah,
and there's no Lucas or Star or like whatever Lucas is now.
No,
I guess that would be Disney.
Lucasfilm Games is the name of the label, but that's just
but they're not doing any dev, right?
No.
So the interesting thing about this to me would be, what that means in terms of all their licensed stuff. I assume we talked about Warner Brothers. They have a lot of Lego insert thing here for their stuff. Maybe Lego wants to just get in on more like Lego Island style things, more just pure Lego and not Lego mapped to other brand.
I don't even know that it's necessarily that. I feel like maybe the thing is this is just a way of them managing quality control to a certain degree. Because I'm going to be honest, a lot of that Lego stuff, even though they're still making it out there, I feel like it has just kind of lost most of its luster. Like outside of the Fortnite stuff, which I know is doing very well. When was the last time anyone really got that hyped about anything that was like Lego video games?
I mean, when was the last time Traveler's Tales put out a thing?
A while ago.
Like 2 years ago or something? Was that last Star Wars saga, like all 9 movies?
Was that even
release? Them? Yeah, that was them.
So probably that. I don't know. Like, not
even that was just kind of like a collection of Star Wars stuff they had already done at various times.
I played a decent amount of that Lego Fortnite. I had fun in that.
Yeah, no, that's doing well from what I understand.
I forgot to mention there's a detail in this Video Games Chronicle story that quoted the Financial Times interview that a Lego football game is on the way.
Hell yeah.
2K is doing that, right?
That's what this says.
There you go.
Because they did. Oh, that's right. They did that Lego racing game. What was that called?
I don't remember. Not the thing for, not the add-in for Forza.
No.
Their own.
Something they did with a Lego 2K Drive. Remember that?
When did that
check
come
that
out?
I meant to check that last year, I want to say. I meant to check that out because it was really...
That just totally left my brain.
Last May is when that came out. That was a Visual Concepts game.
I never checked that out. I can see the cover in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It kind of came and went as far as awareness, I feel like, but I had meant to check that out at some point. Anyway, supposedly the rumor in this is that was the first of a series that would potentially include a Lego football game of some kind.
Okay.
I guess this technically is the only way 2K would be allowed to make a football game right now.
All your favorite Lego teams.
Yep. Anyway, that's just a little update in the wake of the Warner Brothers chaos.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be a Lego NFL game?
I don't know about that.
Because it's going to be arcadey, so technically that wouldn't count as a Madden competitor.
Are those the terms of the deal with EA that there can't be competing like serious realistic football games so they can still make goofy stuff?
My recollection, and again, please, by all means, if you write in at home if I'm 100% wrong on this, but what I remember is that the rights to simulation football and the rights to arcade football were separate contracts. Okay. And that arcade football was something that they weren't doing exclusively. Like, I think EA has done, obviously, arcade football games over the years. They did the NFL Street stuff and what have you. And I think they also did they do the Blitz remake or there was some Blitz reboot or something that came out, I feel like, some years ago that was not that well regarded.
Yes, but EA did do Blitz.
So I guess at this point, I don't know, because I think there's other NFL stuff out there. It's probably mostly like mobile, but I wonder if they would be able to do an NFL licensed Lego thing. They may not be. That's the thing. That absolutely might just be a blanket NFL you can't do anything license, but I'm not sure where it's at these days.
Okay, we have to move on because now I'm going down a rabbit hole here. Did you just came across this post on Reddit? We're back. NFL Blitz 2025 is here.
Wait, what?
Just a whole ROM hack community of people hacking current
fantastic. Okay.
Modern day rosters into
which Blitz?
I believe it is NFL Blitz 2000 for the N64.
Okay, so I think this has been a going concern for a bit.
Is apparently they are putting out annual releases of NFL Blitz 2000 with updated rosters and players and stuff.
Fucking good on them.
That's amazing.
Can't keep us down.
Support your local mod community.
Yeah.
30 years of NFL. I don't know if that's actually true. 30 years of Chrono Trigger.
Apparently.
What's a Chrono Trigger?
That's correct. Apparently.
Brad,
did the game not come out that far apart between Japan and the US? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Most RPGs in that. God, was that a worldwide release? That can't be right.
Could have been.
Could have been.
No, it was August here. Okay.
Chrono Trigger.
Anyway, we just crossed the 30-year anniversary of Chrono Trigger releasing in Japan.
Oh.
And Square Enix is talking like year of Chrono Trigger going on here. As we mark the 30th anniversary, we will be launching various projects that go beyond the world of the game over the next year to express our gratitude to everyone who has played Chrono Trigger so far. I don't know if you guys care about. I don't know if you guys care about that game at all, but
I wouldn't say I love Chrono Trigger, but I really like Chrono Trigger.
As cliched as it is, it's still one of my favorite games, probably.
I'm not sure I can confidently say I've played it. I think I have, but I'm not sure. I definitely played Chrono Cross.
Even Dan liked it, if I'm not mistaken.
Look, my little brother's got a Chrono Trigger tattoo.
Okay, so it occupies that space for a lot of people.
It's a beloved game. I've played it. I finished it. I think it is one of the better JRPGs of its time.
Agreed.
And cool characters, cool mechanics.
Yeah. Now, what they're going to do with it in the coming months, I have no idea.
Ask me anything about Chrono Cross.
It's Square Enix, so I imagine it will be the least satisfying thing they could possibly do with it.
Probably. I'm going to say the most ambitious thing they do with this is like an HD 2D type remake.
Yeah, but don't fuck up the graphics, man.
If that. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
They'll find a way to make it bad.
I don't think they should do that. I don't think they should remake that game at all.
Sometimes games are just good as they are.
Yeah. Yes. Just let it be. I mean, I would take an HD 2D remake in a heartbeat over a Final Fantasy VII style, like high def extravaganza, which is not going to happen. Like, to be clear, there's absolutely zero chance of that happening here.
Mm-hmm.
But
I never say zero. Like the budget for you're talking like a Final Fantasy like part 1, part 2, part 3 style.
Or even all in one game, but just something with that level of fidelity. And I don't think there is. I don't think there is another single game in the Square Enix catalog that commands the same kind of enduring popularity that would be a safe bet to do that. Even 7, even 7, like the reports have all been that like it sold okay, but not maybe what they wanted. I don't think we will get another remake from them on that scale again.
Yeah, not at least not for the next couple of years here as they kind of wrap up their project here and then count the either the money they have made or the developers who have burned out on the. How long will it have been? You think 15 years of making Final Fantasy VII remakes?
Yeah, let's see.
when all is said and done,
we're probably 2-ish years out from the last one.
Yeah. Could you have been like half your career working on Final Fantasy VII remake? Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah, I hope they do right by the Chrono Trigger fans. They are passionate, and it's a great game, and they deserve it.
Yeah, I don't know what this will be though. I mean, because they've already ported the original game around a bunch to DS and mobile and all over the place. So I'm not sure if it's on PC or not. But anyway, I am curious but extremely cautious about what they're going to do with this.
Did you like Chrono Cross?
I didn't really play a ton of it.
Okay, that's placed PS1.
Play some PS1.
PS1.
Just a fairly different game, like very different setting. I think a lot of people had trouble making the leap from 1 to 2 because they're so different.
Yeah, I don't know. Do it and do it well. Game with like the orchestrated soundtrack, like got a very popular soundtrack. So
very good. I listen to it regularly.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. The year of Chrono Trigger.
I guess so.
Who's your favorite character? Robo?
Is
Robo? Is Robo the canonical name?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you could rename all the characters, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Frog, Robo.
Frog. Yep. Frog, Robo, Marl. Luca, like a Chrono, Magus. Is that everybody? Ayla. I always forget Ayla.
Ayla, the one with the crossbow? No, it's
Ayla.
Marl.
Yeah. Nope. No, Ayla is the prehistoric lady.
Oh, and who's got the helmet? That's Luca. The
Yes.
the
She lives on the
sci-fi?
second floor. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's it for the news.
Mhm.
Emails. You can send your emails in to podcast@nextlander.com. That is podcast@nextlander.com. Once again, podcast@nextlander.com. Brad Shoemaker, what you got in the email bag?
You guys maybe have a better answer for this than me, but I can try to chime in. Landon from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Was recently trying to think of my favorite sketches from 90s sketch shows and came up with this.
Okay.
Kids in the Hall, Girl Drink Drunk.
Yep.
I don't remember that one. I've only
I don't
seen
remember
I'll
that one.
explain when you get through the list.
I've only seen a moderate amount of Kids in the Hall though. The State, Sideways House Family,
Yeah,
Gosh,
that was pretty good.
I don't know that one either. Okay.
Mr. Show, pre-taped call-in show.
Okay. Yeah,
And-
that's not my favorite, but sure.
Okay, and UCB, titular line guy.
Gosh, these I don't.
Yes. Okay, I remember the titular line guy. That's the guy who says the titular line in Star Wars. I sure am sick of all these Star Wars.
Okay. Well, I've definitely heard that
Okay.
line plenty of times. What are your favorite sketches from what I consider the golden age of sketch comedy?
Ooh.
Okay. Girl Drink Drunk might actually be my favorite Kids in the Hall sketch. That is the one where Dave Foley is a on the rise businessman who is taken to a bar by his boss because he's getting a promotion, and Dave Foley's like, I don't really drink. I don't like the taste of alcohol. I'm sorry. And he's like, I think he offers him like a strawberry daiquiri or something like that, and that turns into an increasingly desperate alcoholism that is entirely revolving around extremely elaborate fruity drinks.
Oh, I think I do remember that.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
I don't think I've watched Kids in the Hall since the 90s.
Let me put it this way. One of my old bands wrote a song called Girl Drink Drunk just about
Okay.
roughly that sketch.
All right.
That's
Trying to think-
sausages.
Sausages and
yeah.
also The Monkeys is maybe my other favorite Kids in the Hall sketch, which is the one where Dave Foley is a cranky old man who has a room full of vicious man-eating monkeys that he threatens to let loose on the town if they won't do what it wants, which is mostly drive him from work to home or like get pizzas extremely fast.
Were they the rest of the cast members in monkey suits?
None of the only other cast member that's in is Mark, and he's just an old man who is his friend who just occasionally looks at the camera and says, "Everything he says is true. If he says he will let the monkeys loose, he will let the monkeys loose."
Okay, it's a pretty good impression.
Yeah.
I still will hum "These Are the Daves I Know," so that's
my favorite musical number.
Yeah, so does
Especially my
that count
favorite
as
Bruce number, yeah.
does that count as a sketch?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's
It's also on one of his comedy albums, but it started on the show, so that's a sketch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm squishing your head. That's
It's an ongoing thing. It's
that's an
fine. Not my
ongoing
favorite
thing.
character, but funny. Kids in the Hall is maybe still my favorite sketch show of all time.
What's the toupee one? Is that the
where
bank?
yeah, I just watched that one actually the other night, where the guy loses his wig and so he puts a dead squirrel on his head.
That one's pretty good and weird.
Yeah.
All right, a lot of Kids in the Hall there.
Yeah. So let's go to Mr. Show.
I don't know Mr. Show all that well.
I don't think I've ever seen Mr. Show.
Okay. Mr. Show is maybe the most of its time alt comedy sketch show, which is to say some of it extremely doesn't hold up, but the stuff that does very much does.
Okay.
I think my favorite one, unfortunately, involves now pardoned January 6er Jay Johnston, The Story of Everest, which is him coming home from having climbed Mount Everest to tell his parents, to regale them with the tale of him climbing Everest, and he keeps slipping and falling into a cabinet. And
I did see that. Yes.
And every single time he does it, they spend a long time resetting the set, and then he's about to tell the story again, and then he slips into the same cabinet again.
I did see that one. That one is
Jay Johnston, unfortunately, a very funny guy who is also out of his fucking mind.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite Mr. Show sketch. The other one is the FF Woody Cooks one, which is based on the JJ Bittenbinder anti-crime videos of the 80s.
I don't know if I know that one.
So it's Bob Odenkirk dressed up as JJ Bittenbinder is a new character called FF Woody Cooks, and he has an anti-crime show where he shakes the crime stick.
I don't think I know that one.
Goofballs who commit crimes. It's very silly.
Trying to. Geez, I don't know.
We can move on to another one if you haven't watched that much, Mr. Show.
Yeah. Is there one where he's like, I think it's Bob Odenkirk is like selling VHS tapes and like with pool, like he's like
yes.
Okay.
He's the pool whiz, and like
Yeah.
he's just making up fake pool tricks, and this is very clearly not a very good pool player, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good one too.
Okay, yeah, okay. Some of these I saw afterward, they just got passed around. All right, let's see. The State. Look, I'm gonna.
The State is the one I did watch a lot of.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
There's a few I can think
Into
of.
the Pope or
Hey,
Pope,
I'm a the Pope.
yeah.
That one. Strong contender.
Dip my balls in it. Like
There's an ongoing bit, pretty good.
Yeah.
That's Louis, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's Doug. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I am highly partial to the Barry and Levon $240 worth of pudding.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Agreed.
Was
That's
that-
probably the
were
best Barry and Levon bit.
Were they recurring? I couldn't remember. I think I only watched the first season or two.
There weren't that many seasons. They showed up a couple of times, I think, but there was the $240 worth of pudding bit is far and away the most memorable.
Yes.
Um.
I'm looking at like a random top 10 State sketches, and I don't remember like any of these though.
What's their number one? Do you have it up there?
Number one, The Race.
I don't know if I know that one.
Oh wait, okay. See You in Hell. How about I meet you there? Is an exchange from that. That's jogging a memory.
I
A
don't know.
friendly race between father and son soon turns into a scene from Death Proof.
Okay, yes. All right, I do kind of remember this.
I vaguely remember that one.
Any In Living Color sketches?
I've watched a decent amount of that too,
Yeah.
but I don't remember. My memory for the stuff is getting terrible.
That's one where I remember characters more than individual sketches.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
Fire Marshal Bill, it's
Yes.
Homie the Clown, it's all that shit. But like
Sure.
the actual bits don't stand out super much to me.
Yeah, kind of the same here. Yeah. Well, okay.
I didn't watch a lot of UCB. I do know the one they cited. I think that is probably my favorite of the ones I do remember. There's some
Yeah.
SNL stuff from this era, maybe like mostly in like the early Will Ferrell era that I remember liking. There's one that no one ever remembers where he is the manager of a third-rate in-flight magazine that Pierce Brosnan is interviewing to get a job there.
I
And
don't remember that.
no one does. But
Okay.
it's the main reason it's notable is because he's an abusive monster and he goes around literally just like slapping people around, kicking their desk over. One time, at one point, Chris Parnell shows up with a trident wanting to fight him.
Okay.
That is maybe you remember from the what is it, the Hang in There, whatever that fucking quick look we did where I screamed, "I am a strong man. I dare anyone to take a run at me."
Oh, yes. That's
from that sketch.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Most of the sketches I like from that era are Will Ferrell yelling a lot.
Well, what? Oh, gosh. I'm never going to remember the name of the other sketch show that was around In Living Color. Mad TV. Mad TV.
Yeah, I've
Never
watched some
liked Mad TV. I'm going to be
I
honest with
also
you.
did not really love Mad TV. I didn't hate it, but I
did like In Living Color when I was a kid. I never liked Mad TV.
Like Mad TV, incredible launchpad for people, the careers of people who are now big in video games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Right? Like Phil Lamar from Mad TV is in like fucking everything as a voice actor. And
rad.
it wasn't,
Okay.
wasn't Deborah Wilson also on Mad TV?
I believe, yeah, it was an early Deborah Wilson thing. Yeah.
I have to say, you can make an argument for sketch comedy having some of its heyday during that time, and there's certainly a lot of shows there. But catalog wise, I think like the Key and Peele stuff is really good.
Oh yeah, I think of
and-
like modern era sketch shows, like Key and Peele is probably way up there.
Yeah, like every sketch show has like hits and misses, and I feel like the hit rate on Key and Peele stuff is pretty good. Also, I think You Should Leave is pretty good.
Yes.
Though we'll see. Season 3, 4? What are they up? I think they're up to.
This will be
3?
4 when they do the
This will
next
be 4.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. The last season I felt like had fewer hits for me, but
I'm with you. Last season was not. I don't remember the stuff from the last season nearly as much.
Yeah. We'll see where they go with it.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love sketch comedy.
Yeah. Second City. What's your favorite?
What's your favorite SCTV bit?
Yeah. It's probably the one with the Canadian in it.
Oh, that one.
That one
Yep.
fucking sucks, man.
My favorite.
What do Canadians know about comedy?
Hey,
Way more than I do, honestly.
be nice to Canada. All right.
Look,
Most of my favorite comedy came out of there.
I was just gonna say your
dealing
favorite
with a lot
comedian's
right
probably
now.
your favorite comedian's probably Canadian, secretly Canadian.
All right. Got a couple emails here from people responding to our discussion about how it's impossible to make a good Superman game.
No,
Oh,
they all said I'm right?
I don't remember what you said.
said
actually.
no. Said it is impossible.
Oh. Now, these are like a couple of like reasonably interesting ideas here, actually.
Okay.
Anders from Stockholm. How do you make a good Superman game? You Asura's Wrath that shit.
Okay, sure.
Like,
Okay.
I could totally see that. The problem is I think that requires them to take themselves less seriously than they are capable of doing.
Sure.
Like-
or I could see a different take on the Superman, but yeah, like a cool, stylistically animated. But you're talking when you say Asura's Wrath, you're basically doing more QuickTime narrative
Yeah,
stuff.
kinda.
Yeah.
But I mean, that game got kind of like weirdly self-referential and kind of meta in spots
Mm-hmm.
in a way that made it work. And I don't know if they would be willing to go there.
Okay. I just remembered Superman's also weak to magic, right? That's one of his. Isn't that one of Superman's
Sure.
things? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Why
just
not?
keep going. Yeah.
Is there like some like bit with Zatanna that I don't
I-
remember? I don't remember anything about that.
I think he actually. I don't know. Again, citation needed. Got to look it up. Okay.
Okay.
The other email's from Jonathan. The trick is to lean into Superman's invincibility. Rather than have a game about him fighting people, it should be based around situations where he has to save people. Have each level be like a Shadow of the Colossus sort of thing, where he needs to overcome one big thing, but a lot of other stuff is going on at the same time, and the gameplay becomes about can he save everyone while still conquering the big main objective. Like I could Superman versus environments
With timers,
yeah,
basically.
like something like that. I could see being actually sort of interesting.
Superman choices matter.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, who are you going to save?
Yeah, I could see it. I still think the thing is you need to be there'd be some kind of limiting factor though. Like as much as is fun to watch Superman, bowling ball around a bunch of buildings and punch Doomsday or whoever the fuck it is he's fighting. I still think you need something that makes him a little more vulnerable. Otherwise, he's just not. You have to go the Asura's Wrath option. Otherwise, like it's just not possible. Otherwise,
What's that conundrum? The like one person tied to a train track and like 5 people tied to a train track.
the trolley
thing?
problem.
The trolley problem.
Yeah. Superman's trolley problem. Like, who are you going to save, Superman? Who are you going to save? Lois Lane's tied here, or the entire, or all of Canada?
But that's the problem with Superman is that he actually can save everyone before the train hits. Like that's because he's fucking Superman.
He just clones himself somehow.
The trolley problem is he can't do the trolley problem.
Brad, you got another one?
Yeah. This is a little bit apropos of nothing, but it's so weird I have to read it
Okay.
and then maybe try it. This is from DH. I've heard Brad mention canned sardines a few times and wondered if you've tried this. You take any canned sardines in oil, take off the lid, fold a square of paper towel to the size of the can, press it into the can so it starts to soak up the oil, then light the corner of the paper towel.
Okay.
The oil acts as a fuel and the paper as a wick.
Yeah.
This causes it to burn for a while. You let it burn for 10 to 15 minutes, then put out the fire. I use a metal bowl over it to cut off the air, peel off the paper, and enjoy. It heats the sardines and gives them a slightly charred flavor.
Huh.
Interesting.
Has to be canned in oil, not brine.
Yep.
Enjoy on crackers or add to clam chowder. Added a picture here, also a great for a flashy tableside trick at a party. And sure enough, there's a picture included of a sardine can set ablaze.
That's pretty cool.
I'm kind of into this.
Yeah.
I might have to try this.
Maybe be careful with which paper you choose.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes there's stuff in the printing of paper that you don't want to be
Yeah.
eating or burning. But
I think like paper towels probably food safe. I would hope.
probably. Yeah.
I don't
Right.
know.
One would hope, right?
Yes.
One can only hope.
I might give it a shot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Maybe
Why
do
not?
it on your balcony first and then. do it
Yes,
inside.
absolutely. We'll try it outdoors.
Yeah. Any other emails?
I don't know. Do you want another one?
No.
I will mention one if you. Yes, I do want another one, but I'll mention one unless you're going to get to it. That was a shout out that I spent way too much time diving down the rabbit hole of, which was the one with the PSA that no CG is just invisible CGI.
Yes.
I wound up watching that series that was linked there. About
I've had the first of those videos in my like watch later list for like a year now, meaning to get around to it.
I guess I'll just read it here because I wanted to shout it out because it's devoured my morning.
Oh.
Longtime listener, first time emailer. I listened to a recent episode 126 of Parasite on the Watchcast. Around the 60-minute mark, there was a brief discussion about CGI and visual effects. My husband works in VFX, and after a decade of learning by osmosis, I can pretty confidently say anytime a movie producer, director, actor says there was no CGI or visual effects, it's just a lie.
Mm-hmm.
A person in the industry, not my husband, has done a 4-part deepish dive on this. Link to it. This has been my PSA. Thanks for the podcast from Jenny. It's called No CGI is really just invisible CGI is the series, and it is by the Movie Rabbit Hole on YouTube, and it is very good, and it is full of mostly smash cuts of people saying this movie has no CGI, and then the after release DVD Blu-ray special of all the CGI being broken down by the visual effects artists. A lot of that, and it goes deeper into it, much deeper, but that was probably the most entertaining parts of all the actors and people being like, and we're not using, and it's all real.
I mean, I bet to some of those actors, they don't know, like they probably don't even know necessarily where some of those effects are being applied. But when it comes to the filmmaker, they absolutely know.
But there's a whole long bit about Top Gun or Maverick, and about like Tom Cruise being like, and it's all real. All the planes are real. All this is real.
Okay, that's horse shit.
But but apparently, according to this video and the footage that's in it, they, didn't fly the military planes. They flew other planes and then swapped them out digitally with the real plane. So really, the thrust I got from watching a lot of this series was, look, computer generated stuff has its place alongside practical effects, and doing the practical stuff with the CG stuff just works together, peanut butter and jelly. Like, having real planes in the air,
look great.
Yeah, or like having real planes in the air is an amazing reference when you put these digital planes in.
Yeah.
Yes. That has always been the enlightened take on this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a tool just like practical and in-camera effects are, and any tool can be used tastefully or it can be overused in a garish way.
Right.
And some of it too being like, it works best when you don't even know it's there,
right?
For certain shots, but kind of sad for the people who spend all their time doing these things, and then people who are like, there are no visual effects in here, and then here are 300 names in the visual effects department at the end of your movie,
right? Assuming they even got a credit in the first place, because it's it's extremely thankless and hardworking, and unregulated field.
And exploited. It sounds like sometimes.
That stuff, it's been around for ages too. I remember seeing an effects reel from Zodiac, which is like a well over 15-year-old movie at this point, I think, or close to it, of just like shot after shot of like, that's a freaking like police procedural.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that is a very mundane,
an era specific one, but yeah.
Right. It's like a very grounded thing though. There are no there are no capes in that movie, but they use it for all kinds of stuff. It's like they like use it to like put a city backdrop behind like a featureless set that they were shooting on or whatever, like that stuff. The point is that stuff is everywhere.
Yeah.
In a way that people just don't notice, because that's the goal is for it to be seamless, right?
And again, the point of this series is more of like the people who are getting out there and being and using no CGI as a marketing term.
Yes.
Basically like trying to obfuscate what they're doing so that people will think one thing that is not necessarily the case.
Like I think the marketing campaign for The Force Awakens bears about 90% of the responsibility for that problem, because they went extremely hard on that when they were making that movie.
And a ton of computer generated stuff in it.
Yes.
That movie was also mentioned. And it's a 4-part series. It's very good. I recommend checking it out. It's done extremely well. Wanted to just shout that one out for a little passing along the PSA. Brad, you got one more here?
I certainly do, if you can fill for just a second.
Sure.
Phil.
I got no problem with the computer generated stuff. Again,
no.
Yeah. I
just don't like it when it's slathered in a way that is like, not careful, either because of budget reasons or scheduling reasons. They just couldn't make it exist seamlessly,
Mm-hmm.
All right, Zach in Minnesota. I've never been to New York before, but it seems like people there do a lot of things right. So why are they so bad at picking mayors?
They're very busy.
If I could answer this question, I would have my own MSNBC show by now. I mean, the answer is Not unique to New York in particular. I think it is very telling in a lot of major U.S. cities in general, but New York and L.A. are probably the most grievous examples. A lot of people who don't want good things live in those cities and have the wheels of power generally at their fingertips in one way or another.
Look, I'll also add to that you can only pick the people for mayor that run for mayor.
Yep.
So the people that are running for these offices are not always the best of us.
No.
They're the
But
people.
the ones that are able to secure funding,
yeah, that's what I'm saying,
oftentimes
yeah.
are the ones that are connected to the people I was just
That's
talking
right.
about.
Yeah, you probably have to have something in you that is probably disqualifies you from being the best when you run for these offices in the first place. And I think Americans also do many fantastic things alongside some many not so fantastic things. And look where we are now. Look what we picked. So it's not just a New York problem, okay? Now New Jersey, get your shit together. We got an election coming up. My New Jerseyites. Soon. Actually, when's Adams up for re-election? Is it
It's coming up.
Is it November?
Isn't it this?
He
Yeah,
hasn't-
I think it's November.
He hasn't said definitively if he's running or not. It seems like he might, but there's also the whole Cuomo thing kind of looming over this. There's like 5 other people that are running in the same party ticket, so...
Fun times ahead for New York.
Yeah, it's not going to get better.
Yeah. Well, is that it for the emails? Yeah. Look, democracy, I'll still take it over the alternative, right?
Yeah, well, for as long as we can take it.
That's right. That's going to do it for the emails. And that's going to do it for the show. Folks, we got a ton of stuff going on here. We got Vinny and Mike. That's Mike Mahardy from Fire Escape. You may recognize him. Save the World, Destroy the World. You got our Chaos campaign now up on Nextlander over on the Patreon. You got our Good campaign going on over at Fire Escape over on their Patreon. You can watch either. You can watch both. It's up to you. It's whatever you want to do. Things are kicking off. We're a couple of episodes ahead on the recording. And last time I just recorded with Mike, I didn't want to stop playing, and that's always a good sign.
All right.
Just wanted to keep going. Just one more turn. Just come on, we can do this. One more turn. Things are heating up. First couple of episodes are a lot of setup. It's a lot of like feeling it out. But things are moving along there. Alex, over on the Watchcast, we are getting in the middle of our dystopian cities.
Yeah, we recorded The Warriors this week. It is up now on the Patreon. We are about to go record City of Lost Children. That'll be up for next week.
There you go. I should mention that that game is that Mike and I are playing is Total War Warhammer 3, in case you didn't know. That's going on there. We got the Planorama is up on the Patreon. You can have us while we do it. Take a look at March for video game releases. Never Been a Better Podcast is up there. Of course, the Ramblecast is up there. Video Ramblecast is up there. Planorama this week. If you want to be in, you got to get to that Patreon, patreon.com/Nextlander. You might not even know what you're missing out on if you haven't visited it. It's a lot, and it doesn't go away, and you can always get it there.
That's right.
So head over to
4 years worth of stuff now.
It's all there, all linked and ready for you to just absorb into you.
Do you want to hear a podcast about the video game releases of February 2022?
I do.
We got that in the archive.
I want to hear a podcast about you going to an electronics fair.
That's right.
And possibly watch a video with some visual aids in it. That's over on the Patreon. You can check that out along with everything else we just mentioned over at patreon.com/Nextlander. Find a tier that is right for you. There is one tier there that gets their names read on this here show, and it's the Mysterious Benefactors tier. But I'm going to read those names for you right now. Starting with Sean Miller, RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L, Kelly F, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deidre would probably get the severance chip, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, Bunny, Fiend, F1 Eend, Bunny F1 Eend. I guess it's F1 season. Is it F1 season?
Probably.
Does F1 season ever end? I don't know. I'll talk to Drew about it when I talk to him. Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, Mike Roch, and Tyler Treese.
Wow, we got Mike Roch.
Mhm.
Mike Roch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big
Wow.
time.
Yep. We made it, folks. We've made it. Mr. Roch, to you.
Speaking of the Patreon, did you see that somebody on the Discord dug up the analoscope?
I did. I did see that.
Dug up some info on it. It's from 1950 something, I think. 1959, not 58.
I saw a post that had manuals for it and stuff.
The analoscope.
Yep.
Apparently,
That's the one.
I didn't know they allowed that sort of thing in the 1950s.
You know, sometimes things were a little some things were a little stricter, some things were a little looser.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true.
You can find all about the analoscope on our Ramblecast if you want to be in the know. Thanks to our mysterious benefactors, and thanks to all our patrons. Thanks for supporting us. Going on, segueing over to supporting us, you make possible things like having Will Smith on as we played PUBG and taking us through PUBG. You support things like having Abby Russell come on and joining us to have a really fun time through Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, even when the game was trying its best to counter that.
Yeah.
That's really mean, but it was a fun time to be with you guys and play it. You make all of that possible. You allow us to support those people and helping us and to compensate them for their time. So thank you for that. Going on this week on Friday, we are going back to the X-Files.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's the X-Files FMV game. We told you we're going to get back to it.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. And we've knocked so much out, and we won Void Crew. We got a chicken dinner in PUBG. We finished Lost Records Bloom. We have finished the first half of Roottrees, and now we need to knock out X-Files.
Finished like 3 of those We Were Here games.
Mhm.
That's right. We finished you and Patrick ended
Finished
Volgar. Yep.
Man.
And now we'll knock out some X-Files, hopefully. So we'll see. I think we'll finish. I don't know. Okay, actually, every time I say we're going to finish a thing, it always winds up being another episode. So we'll see. We're at least getting back to it on Friday. So come join us there, 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday when you're listening to this. Don't forget to check out the Watchcast. Like Alex said, we'll be recording City of Lost Children this week. And then next week will be, oh my gosh, Shell Beach.
Dark City.
Dark City. Yes, that's the one. And then, did we announce yet what's on the next batch yet?
I think we said we're doing documentaries.
I think we did, yes, because
Yeah.
people have been recommending them.
Yeah.
Yes, if you have anything that you want to recommend, head over to our Discord, recommend some documentaries there. People are already recommending them to us. All right, that's it for the show. Thanks a lot, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Shoemaker.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week.